Testing 1, 2, 3. Welcome everybody to another Boxing Podcast. Whoa. Broadcasting to you live from the true north is your good friend Mr. BDA, and I sure am glad. That's right, sure I'm glad that everybody could be on board for this one, fellas. In this episode, we get a fantastic one for you. Another edition of the BDA Morning Show. A lot of news compiled here for your entertainment. Get you started on the day, so whatever you're drinking out there, coffee, tea, maybe something else, you know what I mean? A couple of lines of sugar I'm talking about. Get the day started. Give it a boost. But really glad everybody could be on board for this one, fellas. You know the drill. If you want to donate a couple of shekels our way, you're certainly welcome to do so via the Super Chat feature. You can also donate by joining the membership program. That way you get more bang for your buck. You can donate via the Buy Me a Coffee app, link in the description below. What else we got? It's all those three things. Patreon for free, by the way. I just finished a video that I'm going to be posting there about the Canelo-Crawford fight. Can't do too much on Crawford pre-Avenesian. I'm talking the top-ranked era because of copyright issues. So we'll be putting all of that on Patreon for free. So make sure to check it out. You can also join for free, but you can donate as much or as little as you like. All right? So make sure to check it out. The link is also in the description, I believe. Now, let's give a big shout out to everybody in the chat. By the way, the most important thing is you continue to like, you subscribe, you spread that BDA gospel, all right? Shout out to John Locke is God, Navach, Maton, Earl Stevens, shout out to Earl, shout out to Earl, Grim Reaper, HJ92, Team Batman Boxing, Dr. Mofongo, Knockout Ned, Epadokua. Many more people to come, I'm sure, fellas. Thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. Now, I wanted to start off with, there's a lot of things going on right now. A lot of things going on in the boxing world, a lot of controversy, a lot of back and forth, Twitter wars. As you can see in the title, there's a little bit of a meltdown going on from Devin Haney's side. So we're going to get to all of that. But first, let's start with the big fight that's going to be taking place in 2 weeks. 2 weeks from now, fellas. It's almost here. You look at your calendar. Saturday, the 30th of August. That's tomorrow. And tomorrow marks the second week mark. Exactly. Then on Monday, it's exactly the 1st of September. By next week, I'm saying Wednesday, for example, you're going to be able to say, oh shit, next week, that's fight week. That's when all the festivities start. And that's where the temperature really gets put up a notch. Let me tell you something. If you've thought that that the build-up to this fight has been crazy so far, wait till fight week. Never know what's going to happen. And we're going to be here to cover it all. See if indeed something does go down. But like I said, it's a very interesting fight. Obviously, it's the biggest fight of the year. Might not even live up to expectations now that I think about it, but who cares? It's about the build-up. Enjoy the build-up while it's here. That's what I say. And there's a couple of things we're going to talk about as it pertains to that fight. Let me just show you what I'm talking about here. Hold on a second. I'm looking to open up my trusty news page here. Early in the morning, I had some technical issues. Can you believe it, Mr. BDA having technical issues? Unacceptable, but I got through them. Thank the Lord. Got very fortunate. Here we go. All right. So everything worked out in the end. Hence the delay. I do apologize for that. Tim Tszyu envisions Terence Crawford beating Canelo Alvarez. Hurting and beating Canelo Alvarez. So Tim Tszyu still nursing his wounds from his last couple of fights, haven't gone all that well for him. He says, I think Crawford can hurt Canelo. He has a variety and the shots that you don't see coming. I think he can do damage. He says, in my opinion, from the way Canelo has looked in his last couple of fights, I think Crawford wins. I used to go to the other direction, but I feel like Canelo is not the type of fighter he was in the Gennady Golovkin days. And I think he's a little bit more comfortable now. Canelo is in shape, but Crawford has a lot more to prove. It's interesting when they say Canelo's more comfortable. I understand what they're saying when that maybe if it's a hard fight, he's been too comfortable lately, and so he's not going to know when to turn the energy on. So I can understand that, but I don't think anyone ever accused Floyd Mayweather of being too comfortable when he was out boxing Robert Guerrero and Marcus Maidana in the second fight. When he was doing the bare minimum just to get by and get those wins. Running around the ring, bending below the waist, clinching. But when it comes to Canelo, as I pointed out in the last video that I posted, which is called Is Canelo Finished? Canelo's expected to stomp these guys. I keep hearing that all throughout the internet when I listen to people in comment sections or in other podcasts, and they go, "Yeah, Canelo, he hasn't stopped anybody. He hasn't stopped anybody." And I'm thinking, he's dominating these dudes for 12 rounds. Why is the onus on Canelo that he has to be stopping people? And like I said in the video, it's because of that gosh darn 2021 year where he ended up getting 3 stoppages, and so now people expect him to be Gennady Golovkin. But if you look at those stoppages, he didn't really lay anybody out cold now, did he? But 2 of his opponents, I'm talking about Yildirim and Billy Joe Saunders, ended up quitting. Caleb Plant's the only one that went down. Now then, when I say that, people go, "Oh, so he doesn't hit as hard. How's he going to beat Crawford?" I mean, he can beat him the same way he's been beating these other dudes, outpointing them, backing them up, outworking them, landing the cleaner, harder shots, and using his underrated defense, underrated at this point, to deflect most of the incoming offense. So that's the way I see it. But yeah, I don't understand when people go, "Oh, he couldn't stop those dudes," or when they say, Berlanga and Munguia ended up getting stopped afterwards. Okay, Munguia ended up getting stopped by Suarez with a one-punch knockout. It's not like Suarez outclassed him, outfought him on the inside, outdid Canelo for as long as that fight went. Just landed a lucky. Well, I mean, there's no such thing as a lucky shot, but let's just say he was fortunate to land that shot, which he couldn't replicate in the rematch. And as for Berlanga, he fought a guy who caught him and ended the fight. But again, Shiraz wasn't exactly dominating him prior to that fight. Also, let's keep in mind, Shiraz is 6 feet 3 inches tall, whereas Canelo's 5'8". Now, some people will say, "Oh, those are excuses, BDA." I mean, you can call them whatever you want. I call it mitigating circumstances. I mean, when you analyze a fight, you don't go, "No excuses, no excuses." So you want to ignore all the factors? All those little factors are what allows you to make the correct pick. I'm not saying I'm making the correct pick. I'm expecting it that I will, but I'm never confident when I make these picks. Anything can happen, and that's the fun part of boxing. But people are getting too hung up on this fight, with the racial aspect, with the whole, who are you picking to win? Are you gonna be here? What are the excuses gonna be? People are too worried about that stuff. Hey, cross that bridge when you get there. That's what I say. Also, by the way, here's the other thing. Zoo ended up concluding his comments by saying, "Crawford should just box and move. He's got the IQ. He's a very high-level fighter. Crawford should just box and move." That's the subject of my short video that I'm going to be posting on Patreon. I'm going to try to do a longer video about Crawford because everyone's expecting him to box, and I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, is it possible he does the opposite? Woohoo! We'll see. He's got the IQ. He's a very, very high-level fighter, he ended up saying. Tim Zoo. So that's an interesting take right there from Tim Zoo. So now let's go to see what Hamza Shiraz, the aforementioned Hamza Shiraz, had to say about Canelo-Crawford. Because remember, Hamza Shiraz just ended up making a statement at 168 by stomping Edgar Berlanga, and now he wants his shot at Canelo. So here's what he had to say about that upcoming mega fight. On the 5 Live podcast with Steve Bunchi, I believe Bunchi was sober in that podcast. So I hope so, at least. Oh, I'm kidding. Come on. It's early in the morning. A little levity here, right? So this is what Shiraz had to say. The Canelo fight, it's there, Shiraz said. Talking about it's there for him. It's the one, providing he goes through Crawford. No, it's the one, providing he goes through Crawford with ease, Shiraz said. And I believe he will. So there you go. Hamza Shiraz is predicting Canelo's going to walk through Crawford. And that makes it what now? 5 people against 25 picking Canelo? Because, I mean, I can count the amount of people or so-called experts who are picking Canelo, and I can count them on the fingers of one hand. I think it's Joel Diaz, or one of the Diazes. I forget. I always confuse the Diazes. Joel Diaz, Abel Sanchez, Hamza Shiraz now. Who else is speaking? I think David Benavides just recently said that. But then again, his analysis wasn't all that great because all he said was Canelo because he's too big, which I really don't understand. Also, I saw somebody post a graphic that says, they're comparing Jermall Charlo with Mike Tyson, and Jermall Charlo looks taller than Tyson, and it says, who really is the bigger guy? Trying to say that height doesn't mean you're bigger, which is true. I mean, anybody that just goes off height, you're committing a fallacy by saying that taller guy is the bigger guy. But I think also when you're talking about context, I don't think Canelo is going to be that much smaller than Crawford. Everyone always talks about how Crawford weighs 170 plus pounds when he's walking around outside the ring. Also, he's the same height as Canelo, if not a little bit taller. So yeah, they're gonna be about the same size. I don't see this being the bigger guy. In other words, if Canelo wins, I don't think it's gonna be because of the size necessarily. You look at their dimensions. Canelo does seem to have the thicker neck, but Canelo. You look at Crawford, unless he's wearing two shirts or padding up or something. His shoulders look big, upper body, just like Charlo did when he fought Canelo. His upper body looked quite strong. I suspect if you look at the legs, Canelo probably has thicker trunks, but other than that, I don't expect that much of a size difference. Interestingly enough, too, I checked the dimensions for Madrimov, and I'm pretty sure I checked them thoroughly before the fight, or before the Crawford Madrimov fight. But Madrimov is listed as 5 feet 8.5 inches tall, whereas Crawford is listed as 5'8" tall. But then you looked at them throughout the face-offs. Crawford looked a little bit taller. But then I said, well, listen, maybe one guy's wearing thick, sneakers, thick with thick soles or whatever. But then I looked at the fight, and Crawford did look taller. Now, maybe that's because Crawford fights a little bit more straight up, whereas Madrimov really crouches forward. I don't know. Maybe that gave the impression. But what I'm trying to get at is don't be surprised if Crawford actually looks taller than Canelo, on top of the weight that he's putting on. So we shall see indeed what happens there. One other thing about this fight that really caught my attention as it pertains to some of the views that people have about the skill gap, or so-called skill gap between the two combatants. But before I do that, let's give a shout out to everyone in the chat. I see more people have come in. Epadokua, Dr. Mafongo, Dustin Garza, LT, J. Colt, JC, Official Scorecard Boxing, Pancho Villa, Dino Bravo. It's a hell of a name right there, Dino Bravo. Sounds like the name of a mercenary or something. Cerny Banders, Team Batman Boxing, and many more people to come, I'm sure. Fellas, thank you for joining us. What are people saying? Shout out to Severino, who says, good morning, BDA. Probably having some Cuban coffee. Oh, no, wait, he's not Cuban. What are the Puerto Rican coffee? Is it? Yeah, there's such a thing as Puerto Rican Espresso, right? Maybe I'm getting it wrong. I don't know. Team Batman Boxing says Canelo will show the skills. Easy work. All right. I'll tell you something. I'm not that. I'm picking Canelo, but I'm not all that confident. Bucho's more confident than I am, and we'll get to that as the fight nears. Maton 509 says Canelo was smart moving up in weight and not draining himself. Crawford's been draining himself to make lower weights. Maybe that's why he's struggling his welterweight fights. And people are gonna say, BDA, he's struggling his welterweight fights. He won them all. Yeah, but look at what preceded the knockouts or stoppages. He was struggling in a lot of those fights. And methinks how could things have gone differently had he moved up to 154 sooner? Because let's not forget, he was 1 pound heavier than Madrimov on fight night. Could be nothing, could be everything. I don't know. Epadokua says Madrimov lied about the height. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Dustin Garza says, plus Canelo brought in boots for sparring. He's taking it seriously the way Bud did. Spence was evil. A lot of people made a big deal about the whole Canelo versus Boots thing. I think I talked about that in the last show, which was on Monday. For anybody that cares about this, by the way, I use Brave, which is a browser. And nowadays, if you use Firefox or Opera to browse YouTube, you don't get recommended videos. Even when you weren't signed in, you would get recommended videos. But if you're on Brave, you get recommended videos. So anyway, long story short, I've been watching a lot of videos on Crawford and Canelo, and I get recommended a lot of channels that I've never heard of. And so I'm listening to most of them. Sometimes I got to fast forward because of time issues. I'm looking at the comments. A lot of people change their minds from Crawford to Canelo just because Canelo's sparring Boots. And I say, you know what? I mean, that's maybe it will make a difference. Maybe it will make Canelo be the victor. But just because he's sparring Boots, I don't see it. You know what I mean? And then I saw people, and maybe this is why they think the way they do, by the way. Maybe this is how shallow some of their analyses are. A lot of the people who are picking Crawford, as we've talked about on this show, when you ask them to break it down, they give you a lot of frivolities, a lot of nonsense or near nonsense. When they, just bare bones stuff like he's got the better footwork, superior footwork, he's got the higher IQ, he's got the X factor, he's got the mutant gene, and you're sitting there scratching your head like, what does that mean? Now, though, those same people that I've been keeping track of, some of them started saying, "Man, I'm getting ready to change my mind since I saw Canelo spar boots." And I'm thinking, just because of that, now I understand why you were giving us that shallow analysis earlier, because that's how easily you're swayed. You don't know how to put two and two together. That's what I think. I don't know. And a lot of people are starting to change their minds. But then those same people that were scared for some reason that Canelo sparring boots, then they started trying to look for a way to assuage their fears, to decrease their fears. And they came up with the idea, the notion that apparently Boots was schooling Canelo in those sparring sessions. He gave him a black eye. He lumped him up, had his way, easy work. Canelo had to cancel the sparring. He had to call it off. I'm thinking, man, I mean, people are really, really grasped for straws. I mean, hey, listen, if there's proof of that, I'd like to see it. I'm not saying it didn't happen, but what I'm saying is, why are people so ready to believe that without any evidence? That's the thing that leaves me scratching my head. Let me tell you something. I scratch my head a lot nowadays. The other thing I want to bring up here is this, as it pertains to that Canelo-Crawford fight. So, like I mentioned, a lot of people say Crawford has superior defense than Canelo. He's got superior skills. He's got the X factor. He's got that dog. Watch out, man. Watch out for that dog. And I was quite interested because one of the guys that's very high on Terence Crawford is Sean Porter. You will recall Sean Porter did fight Terence Crawford back in 2001. Excuse me, 2021. I don't know why I always confuse those. Anyway, 2021 gave him a hard fight, very difficult time. And if you rewatch the Crawford versus, what was it? Yeah, the Crawford-Madrimov fight, Sean Porter was very high on Crawford. He was giving him basically every round. Basically every round he was scoring it for what's his name? Crawford. So I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, okay, well, this guy probably thinks Crawford is the shit, right? Not so. Not so. Hold on a second. I'm looking for something here at the same time. I apologize. I'm trying to see if my soundboard works here. Just because I was having audio issues earlier. Let's see.
Order.
Uh-huh. All right. That seems to be working.
I don't want to talk about that, buddy.
All right. So it is indeed working.
I'm a dog.
There we go. That's what I was looking for. I'm a dog.
I'm a dog.
Crawford's got that dog, let me tell you. Oh, we're going to talk about the dog too, about something in regards to another issue, by the way, that I've been thinking about as it pertains to Devin Haney. We're going to get to that, but I'm sorry. I was sort of, I got lost there. All right, so let's go back to Sean Porter. Here's what Sean Porter on Ring Magazine, they did one of my favorite segments, The Best I Ever Faced. This is where they interview retired fighters, and they ask them, as it pertains to their opponents, all the high-level opponents that they face, which one had the better jab, which one had the best footwork, best defense, and who was the toughest or more skilled overall. Okay? So check out what Sean Porter had to say about Terence Crawford. When it comes to defense, and I don't think I've ever seen this answer before in this series, and I think I've read them all. He says, that's a great question. I was able to really get off on everybody. If you think some of the guys I fought who were known for defense, Stu specifically, Paulie Malignaggi and Devin Alexander, neither of them could keep me off him. Maybe Crawford. And then he thinks about it. He goes, nah, he didn't use his feet in an amazing way that kept me off of him. He didn't move his head in an amazing way that kept me off of him. He didn't even block my punches. I can't say there was a fighter that had the best defense. I feel like I was me in every fight. All right, so either Porter believes his offense was the best ever and that much superior to all the high-level guys that he fought. And he fought a lot of high-level guys, a lot of good welterweights. Does he believe that his offense was so good that these men's stellar defense was less so when it came to fighting him? Maybe that's what it means. Or maybe he's telling you Crawford's defense ain't all that great. In other words, a lot of what makes Crawford successful is his intelligence in putting punches together, his counterpunching, and his speed and his power. And then defense comes last. It's in the rear when it comes to his biggest attributes. Crawford just ain't that great defensively, maybe. I mean, he's very good, but remember, the narrative coming into the Canelo fight is that Crawford can replicate what Bivol and Mayweather did from a defensive standpoint. And here you have Sean Porter telling you his defense wasn't all that. Interestingly enough, when it comes to best footwork, he didn't give it to Crawford. He gave it to Keith one time Thurman. He says, Keith knew how to slide out, get away from you. I think if there was anyone I specifically thought that knew how to use their feet, it was Keith Thurman. Now you gotta watch out when you read these best I ever faced segments because I've seen some fighters they do this. They'll give they fought some all time great, for example, and they won't give him those attributes, even though you can clearly see that that fighter possessed them. Instead, they'll give best footwork to a guy they beat, or best hand speed to a guy they beat. And you're sitting there, and like a guy. I'm exaggerating here, but a guy could have fought Roy Jones, but then if he beat Eric Harding, for example, he'll go, best hand speed. I gotta give it to Eric Harding. He really kept me on the edge and on my toes or on my heels rather with his hand speed. You're thinking you fought Roy Jones. Come on, you just don't want to give him any credit. You want to big up the guys you beat. That's the way it seems like to me. I don't know. So maybe this is the same thing with Sean Porter. But Keith Thurman did have good footwork, tricky footwork. He would lead you into a shot, distract you with his footwork, and then he would all of a sudden load up on a counter hook, power shot that was very quick, difficult to see, and he would catch guys. Crawford does have very good footwork. So this surprised me because one thing Crawford does have is incredible pivots. Those are some good pivots. But if Sean Porter wasn't all that impressed by Terence Crawford's footwork, makes you wonder. Makes you wonder. At the end of the day, he did give Crawford the overall smartest attribute. He said Crawford was the smartest guy. He said he could do it all. I couldn't manipulate him, he said. And then at the end, he goes, best overall, Crawford. I've been in the ring with anyone who could do all the things I could. When we fought, Usyk was a southpaw. He's talking about Usyk way back in the day in the amateurs. Anyway, tall, rangy counterpuncher. He wasn't a dick to the body type of guy. Terence can do everything. I could do everything, and I've never been in the ring with somebody who had it all. That's what makes him the best fighter I've been in the ring with. So Crawford can do it all, apparently. He excels, whether it's on the inside, outside, mid-range, whatever. That's what Sean Porter tells you, and it lets you see why a lot of people are picking him, that is Terence Crawford, to defeat Saul Canelo Alvarez. Let's see what people are saying in the chat here. Hold on a second. Gotta move a couple of pages here. Shout out to everyone in the chat, by the way. Don't forget to hit that like, hit that like, hit that like. It really helps us out. Official Scorecard Boxing says, what's official saying? But I want to clarify something here. Official Scorecard let us know about a clip that we played in the last episode from the Avanesian Crawford fight. And he was saying that Avanesian hurt Crawford to the body with a liver shot. And I didn't see the liver shot at first. I was more focused on a right hook to the body from Avanesian that appeared to make what's his name, Crawford double over. But if you slow it down, there was a left hand to the liver preceding that, but it was like a short, straight left. Hence why I missed it. I still don't know if indeed that really hurt Crawford, but it makes you wonder. Makes you wonder indeed. All right. The aforementioned official scorecard says, I used to be a strong supporter of Porter for being disrespected by the PBC, who treated him as a redheaded stepchild. But then he turned into a PBC shill and staying on code. I won't be cheated ever again. There you go. Shout out to official scorecard boxing. Won't get fooled again. But who says Bud can do it all? No wonder he holds Turkey's hand. Come on. Dustin Garza says all these boxing experts are picking Crawford and saying he'll box circles all around Canelo. But to be honest, we know he's just cashing out because nobody gives a fuck. Well, that's the other thing, though. It's when Crawford fought Madrimov, that was one of the best cards last year, by the way. The Madrimov Crawford card. You had Morel on it. You had Ruiz versus Miller, which turned out to be a dud, but nevertheless, that's what was there. Rayo Valenzuela versus Isa Cruz. What's his name? Bacoli versus Miller. I mean, big Jaron, the other big baby, Anderson, big baby Anderson. And that was a very good card, but it didn't sell well, either on pay-per-view or at the gate. Or maybe it sold well at the gate, but I know for a fact it didn't sell out, so make of that what you will. Michael Martinez says Bivol could absorb Canelo's hits and punch output is crazy. Bud can't match it. Patacua says, how is Bug... Oh, come on, it's not going to be the new nickname, Bug. How is Bug going to throw 700 plus punches like Bivol or constantly come in and out? I constantly ask myself that question. Well, actually, when I was younger, 7+100 thrusts in and out. How am I going to pull that off without any supplements, if you know what I mean? But I used to do it back in the day. Nowadays, I'm on the true path of the Crimson Cross, which means that if I do copulate, it's only for reproduction purposes only, as God intended. And the quicker I'm done, the faster and more pious I become. I do become faster on the path to, I was going to say sainthood, but that's being too pretentious. I'm going to say to the path to spiritual elevation. Let's just put it that way. Two Matador says there's dogs and there's cowardly dogs. I know I have one. I have one. He says an intruder comes to my house. He'll direct him to my stash. Ah, come on. You gotta correct your dog, man. You gotta discipline those. Dustin says the Madrimov fight should have been a draw. I watched the fight. A draw should have been the best decision. I tell you one thing, man. When I watch that, each time I rewatch that fight, it gets closer. That's all I'm gonna say. Still have Crawford winning, but very, 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 very close fight. What else did I have for you fellas here? Hold on a second. All right, so let's get into a little bit of drama here. Oh, wait a minute. Who's online here? Did I see Sobers online? Sobers, if you're listening and if you can jump on, you let me know. Hold on a second. I'm going to be on the. Oh, maybe I can invite you from there too. Hopefully this works. Yeah, there's been a little bit of drama on the internet, let me tell you. And as it pertains to that drama, it's between Devin Haney and Naji. I think that's his name, right? Naji or Naji? I don't know. The Cigar Talk guy. Cigar Talk. For those of you that don't know, Cigar Talk is a podcast, I believe. I mean, I don't know if it's only on YouTube, but they the guy does interviews with fighters. He conducts interviews with boxers, and there was a little bit of controversy. A little bit of a controversy in regards to that. By the way, let me just say real quick. Who was it? Mofongo? No, it wasn't Mofongo. Dustin Garza, I think it was. Yeah, Dustin Garza, who mentioned the punch output. You know what? I'm getting a little OCD here. Was it Dustin Garza that mentioned that? Anyway, one of you guys mentioned Crawford's output. Wouldn't you know it? I'm looking at the outputs here, and I want to make a video about this. Crawford, in his last couple of fights, hasn't really been throwing that much. I don't know if it's because of age. I don't know if it's because he's perfected his counterpunching style and feels like he doesn't have to throw that much anymore. But as you know, I did a video in regards to Canelo's punch output. That video is, of course, the Is Canelo Shot or Finished video. And there I analyzed some of the statistics as it pertains to Canelo's punch output from the last, I want to say, 10 years. Came to the conclusion that he's still throwing about 450 shots per fight, which I think is sort of low on the low end of the average punches thrown for middleweights, or super middleweights rather. But then if you look at Crawford's punch output, it's not really that much more impressive. And again, it could be because of styles. I mean, Crawford is a counterpuncher, although I still maintain Canelo is a counterpuncher too at heart, more of a points fighter, but he's the guy that's coming forward, whereas Crawford prefers to stay on the back foot, make opponents come to him. He's very patient. I think that's something that people give him a lot of credit for, that he's not afraid to stink the joint out if he has to and create a lot of inactive moments to frustrate his opponents to come to him. Chief among them is the Victor Postal fight. If you watch that fight, Crawford was really not doing much. He didn't really land that much. He scored 2 official knockdowns, one of which shouldn't have been a knockdown, and one of them which was, and then he just did the bare minimum to win that fight. People call it a masterclass. I've seen people call it that. I don't think it really was that much of a masterclass. And I'm thinking, if he has to fight Postal that way, how's he going to fight Canelo? Makes you wonder. Makes you wonder. Although, again, like I said, Canelo's going to be going at him, but Canelo has better defense going forward than Postal did. All of this to say that if you look at Crawford's numbers against Madrimov, check out the thrown punches. Everybody focus on the landed ones. I think that's CompuBox, Punch Stats, whatever. They don't do that great a job at catching landed shots, because who knows what they consider a landed shot. Look at the numbers for Crawford in terms of thrown shots. 433. 433. Those are Canelo numbers right there. And like I said, those are below average for Canelo numbers, because Canelo's average is 450 shots. So Crawford was very inactive in that fight. And people say, yeah, but that was Madrimov's feints and in and out movement. Okay, Canelo's got feints too. And he's got superior defense than Madrimov. He's more confident coming forward. And he's going to be more confident against Crawford because he's fought big punchers. So he's going to be throwing punches from all angles too, whereas Madrimov was sort of relying on that right hand. Now, if you go back to another of, what's his name, Crawford's big wins, or biggest wins, I mentioned the Postol fight. Now, keep in mind, the Madrimov fight was at 154 pounds. So that's Crawford carrying a little bit more weight. Or maybe he was just at his walk, closer to his walk-around weight. Because remember, supposedly he weighs 170 plus pounds outside the ring. In fact, it wasn't that long ago. He claimed he was weighing 180 something pounds. Now those could all be mind tricks. You never know with the Crawford camp, Bomac. They're not averse to using mind tricks and shadow play and delving into the black arts to throw their opponents off. So when it comes to Crawford versus Postol, check out Crawford's amount of punches, 388. It's very, and listen, that fight took place at junior welterweight, 140 pounds. Low numbers right there. Very low numbers. Now, because of the movement, he limited Postol to only 244, which is even worse. But again, Postol is not the type of guy who likes coming forward. That's why Crawford made him fight the way he fought. That's why he fought off the back foot. But even then, paltry numbers there from Crawford. So what I'm trying to get at is when people say, well, Crawford can turn it on if he wants to. Like, what you saw against Madrimov, that was an illusion. I've even seen people saying, I'm looking at the comment section of some videos, people are saying Crawford purposefully looked bad against Madrimov to entice Canelo into a fight. But which makes no sense because Canelo said for a year and a half now or more that he wasn't interested in the Crawford fight because he thinks he's not going to get any credit for it. Meaning he was looking down on Crawford. So why will all of a sudden would he fight Crawford after Crawford suddenly looks that decision? If he would have made that decision right after the Madrimov fight, then that would make a little bit of sense. But even then, Canelo's been shitting on this fight for a while now, and he still appears to be taking it seriously because he's a consummate pro. But that's just some of the things that people come up with. And in fact, I've seen a couple of people do the same thing for Canelo. I think I saw two people saying that in comment section, saying, Canelo looked bad against School purposefully to lull Crawford into a false sense of perception and to sell the fight. Because a year ago, this fight was considered a mismatch. And I'm thinking, I don't know. I don't know about any of this. I think people are looking too much into it. Now, one last thing about the CompuBox numbers here, or punch stats numbers. Crawford has been fighting once per year since 2020. So he's only had 5 fights total since 2020. That's 1 fight per year. Some people are saying that could be good because that means he's going to be preserved. Other people are saying he's going to be rusty, especially against a fighter of Canelo's caliber. Now, it's interesting. If 2020 to 2021, okay, 1 fight per year, that's not bad. But he's 30. He's going to be 38 now. So maybe those things are finally going to catch up to him. I'm looking for the Crawford Spence numbers here. Hold on a second. I thought I had them. I don't appear to. So let's just go to boxing scene here. So this is Crawford's magnum opus against, what's his name? Against Terence Crawford. This is really his masterpiece. Check out the numbers for Crawford, 369. Now keep in mind, this did not go the distance. This went to the 9th round. So so he was averaging about how many punches? Crawford was throwing, look at that, 47 punches the first round, 54 the second, 62 in the third, 48 in the fourth. So he was above 40 shots throughout the fight. So if he would have kept that pace up, which I don't think Spence would have been able to handle because he was walking to a wood chipper in that fight, you figure he would have probably gone to the 500 punch range. Keep in mind though, Spence was a punching bag in there. He does not possess the skills coming inside in the defense that Canelo does. He would just jab in with a long jab, over-leaning way too much, and Crawford would catch him coming in and on the way out. So, and this was in 2023. Conversely, you could say the same thing about Canelo. You could look at his low punch output against School, but you can look at how he fought Munguia a year earlier. Canelo threw 500 shots. So you can see that both men can throw a lot of shots when they want to. They can sort of beef up the numbers but that depends on the opponent. And against Spence, this was the type of fighter that Crawford wanted to fight. A guy who's going to be coming forward. Again, Canelo's is going to be coming forward, but he's not going to be opening up as much or as recklessly as Errol Spence was, and he has superior defense. And one last thing, another one of Crawford's marquee wins, and we go to the aforementioned Sean Porter, who, as I said earlier, didn't really respect Crawford's defense or footwork. Check out the numbers. Now, this fight ended in the 10th round, so it almost got to the 12th. Crawford threw 328 shots. So he threw less than he did. He was on the way to throwing about the same amount of shots as he did in the Madrimov fight or the Postol one. Low numbers. Why did he throw this paltry amount for him, especially this at welterweight now, against Sean Porter? Sean Porter was coming at him. Well, that's because Sean Porter was catching him by surprise because of the feints. Again, feints really seem to throw him off. And Canelo's got those. He's got the feints. He's not as explosive as Porter is with the footwork. Canelo's not going to be jumping in like Porter did. But then again, Porter couldn't crack. Canelo can. So there's a give and take here, as you can see, as it pertains to Crawford's opponents vis-a-vis Canelo. Let's see what people are saying in the chat. Real quick, shout out to Maton, who says snack. All right. I Am Green says Canelo will be more comfortable than Crawford will ever be. Epicua says Bud will be heavier too. Yeah, that's the big question. How will Bud carry that weight? Or is he just coming into the fight at his walk-around weight? I don't know, man. I did look at him in the press conferences. He does look bigger, upper body-wise. So maybe he's bulking up. Dustin Garza says, take Canelo. First take already had Crawford, and they got a basketball girl asking boxing questions. Shit was horrendous. They need Max Kellerman back ASAP. I mean, they don't really need Max Kellerman. I don't think any of us need Max Kellerman. But you're right. I don't watch First Take, but I saw somebody posted a tweet saying all the boxing experts are picking Crawford to beat Canelo. And then he gives names. He says Roy Jones. I forget who else, a couple of names. And then he goes Stephen A. Smith. And I know that's not the First Take guy, but I just said, Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith is a boxing expert. I remember when Pacquiao Margarito happened in 2010. Was it 2010? Yeah, it was 2010. And it was a big deal because Pacquiao had won his 90th title or whatever, even though it wasn't a real championship, but whatever, in his 8th weight class or whatever. And then some people were saying, they were comparing him to Muhammad Ali. They were saying that he was as great as Muhammad Ali. And I remember back when Stephen A. Smith had that show with that other dude, the dude that looked like Liberace. And they're having I just wanted to see if they were going to talk boxing. So finally they get to the boxing segment and they go, is Manny Pacquiao greater than Muhammad Ali? Well, look, listen, he's won titles in 8 divisions. That's something Ali didn't do. And then they start talking about, and as I'm listening, I'm thinking, these guys don't know shit about boxing. They're just talking about the divisions. They're not talking about opponents. They don't understand that anybody can win a title nowadays because there's 4 of them lying around, 6 if you count the subdivisions of them. And then at the end they go, the one of them is talking. He goes, listen, I didn't watch the fight, but I know who Manny Pacquiao is, blah, 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 blah. Then the other guy goes, yeah, I didn't watch the fight either. And I'm thinking, you didn't watch the fight? Well, I bet you they were watching a college basketball game or something, college football. These guys will watch a volleyball game before they'll watch boxing. Maybe Stephen A. Smith now is pivoting a little bit more towards boxing because he knows that it's having a bit of a resurgence. But to cite Stephen A. Smith as a boxing expert lets me know you don't know shit about boxing. Dino Bravo says, Stephen A. Smith at first said this fight is stupid. Canelo is going to kill him. Now he's choosing Crawford. Well, there you go. I mean, that's how these are the type of people that are swayed by looking at a picture of Canelo sparring boots. They pick Crawford because he's got that X factor. And then they see Canelo sparring boots and then they go, ooh, I'm going to pick Canelo. Next thing you know, if they show Crawford sparring Beterbiev or something, they're going to go, oh shit, I changed my pick. I'm back with Crawford. Loady. That's what they're going to... I'm telling you, people are that fickle. Their opinions are that fickle and fragile and subject to change. Very plastic. There's a lot of plasticity involved with these predictions. Now, what I wanted to get to here is... What was I going to get to here? Looking at my subject list here. Hold on a second. Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like. It really helps us out. All right, so now this is the Cigar Talk thing that I wanted to get to. Cigar Talk is that channel. Yeah, it is a channel on YouTube that conducts interviews with high-profile fighters. A lot of people are been discussing about how this guy manages to get them. I'm not terribly interested in that. I'm interested in the fallout that's been going on here. So Naji is the guy from Cigar Talk, and he went at Teofimo Lopez for Lopez's comments. Remember, Lopez was throwing a lot of subtle, indirect comments that people were picking up on as it pertains to race. He was saying, people are saying, people were accusing him of calling Afro Anglos monkeys and the whole banana thing. And at some point, it appeared as if he was saying the N word in a training video. So Naji confronted him about it. And some people derided Naji for that. They said, oh, he's just clout chasing. He doesn't really care about this. Other people commended him for stepping up to Terence Crawford. You know that over here on this channel, we are freedom of speech. But with freedom of speech also comes the fact that some people aren't going to like your freedom of speech. I'm not saying they have the right to shut you down. They definitely don't have the right to assault you. But people have the right to be offended. I'm not one of those anti-woke people or, those people that hold comedy to a religious standards like, oh, comedians are the last remaining philosophers in society. Nah. People have a right to be offended. Everybody can be offended. Anybody can be offended. There are things that are offensive. Some of us have tougher skin or thicker skin, and it takes a lot to be offended. Other people get offended, but you wouldn't know it because they don't tell you they're offended. It's not necessary for you to know that people are offended. And so I'm okay with, what's his name? I'm okay with that dude, Naji, being offended. I'm okay with anybody being offended by what Teofimo Lopez said, or especially by what Ryan Garcia said, because he really did went overboard with some of the things he said as it pertains to Afro Anglos. And I certainly don't like Ryan Garcia because, he beat, what's his name? Ryan Garcia, right? Excuse me. Ryan Garcia beat Devin Haney. He flipped the tables on Devin Haney because Devin Haney has managed to wrangle a lot of advantages his way and manipulates the system via the weigh-in stipulations, the not rehydration clause, but the 36-hour weigh-ins before the fight. He also, I've seen a lot of people sucking him off on Twitter going, he takes all the risks. He does it the right way. Yeah, he made it seem as if he wanted to fight Lomachenko in 2020 when he really didn't want to, and cast aspersions on Lomachenko, call him a docker. For years, people were calling Lomachenko a docker. Could you believe that Lomachenko at that time, one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world, didn't want to fight a 21-year-old prospect whose best win was the Dominican guy. What was his name? I forget the guy's name. That was his best win. That was a duck, apparently, from Lomachenko. So that right there, when I saw that, I said, yeah, that was dirty tactics from the Haney camp right away. And then they only fought Prograis when they saw Prograis look like shit against Zorrilla. So there's a lot of things that they do. They don't do things the correct way. So I was happy when Ryan Garcia flipped the tables on him and did what he did to him. That's still not enough to sway me from the fact that Garcia is an unsavory character. Forget about the racist tirade that he went on. Just because somebody says the N-word or whatever multiple times, that doesn't make them a racist. But he's an asshole, nonetheless, because he lied about his mental illness and said, in the build-up to the Haney fight, and then afterwards he says, I was just playing a character, bro. Okay, so you pretended to be mentally ill and really derided the plight in doing so and minimized the plight of a lot of people who do have mental illnesses by pretending that you had one. That's low right there, too. Also, he pretended, he said he saw kids getting abused over at Bohemian Grove and that he was there. Again, that, too, also hurts the credibility of people who have claimed to have been abused by people, in upper management, if you know what I mean. And those people usually get derided and ignored and called kooks. And here you have Ryan Garcia not doing anything to help him by pretending to have witnessed that and then saying, it was just a joke, bro. So Ryan Garcia is an asshole. And if people want to be offended by what he said and what he does, they certainly have a right to do so. But the point is here now is that Naji, that dude who called out Teofimo Lopez for his racist or near racist tactics, just had Ryan Garcia on his podcast, and he posted a clip of him singing along with Ryan Garcia. You know, when Ryan Garcia starts banging his fist against a table or something, he starts freestyling it a cappella. So Naji posted that clip immediately, as expected. People started going at him, calling him all sorts of things. And I'm going to give you a couple of previews here about what I'm talking about. Hold on a second. I told you we were gonna get into some drama stuff. This is probably gonna entice a lot of people to watch this. So this is what he had to say. New episode of Cigar Talk featuring Ryan Garcia dropping this week, and he posted a video of them laughing it up. They're both wearing sunglasses indoors. They think they're in the Matrix or something. And oh boy, let me tell you, this really did set off a firestorm. Fire! Check this out. Actually, don't check it out. Hold on, what the hell? All right. So right away, I had to go to the comment section on this one. Some guy goes, genuine question, Naji. Oh no, he doesn't even call him Naji. He calls him Naj. What is it with these people shortening names? Like Shakur Stevenson, they don't call him Shakur, which is already bad enough. They go Kerr. What's up, Kerr? So this guy goes, genuine question, Naj. Genuine question, Nash. Why do you give grace to Ryan? Okay, grace. Why is he giving him grace? Anyway, why would you give Ryan grace for what he did, said, and completely condemn Theo? Do you feel it was just a bad moment for him? Is it because Theo has done it repeatedly? Blah, 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 blah. And Najee says, we addressed it all in the episode, bro. Gave my full thoughts on it, so did he. Okay, so one guy was questioning him, right? Then another guy goes, yeah, bruh, you picking and choosing, bruh. Ryan and Theo should be in the same boat, bruh. Ryan did it worse than Theo, bruh, if we're being honest. And then Najee replied by saying, I disagree with you, and explain why in the video. The guy goes, that's cool. But everybody could see. Theo said nothing worse than go dig up a dead George Floyd. And he didn't get caught for doping in boxing. But we gonna see the pointless explanations. Emojis. So that right there is, the broken English, the emojis, the swag. That's modern Twitter in a nutshell right there. So again, people are going after him, right? Hold on a second. I'm trying to open this up here. All right. Then I got a whole bunch of tweets that I save here. Look at this. Right away. Shake my fucking head, sends one guy. Another guy goes, shake my head. And he puts a bunch of raccoons on the as emojis there. So you know where they're going with this, right? Right away, they're calling him a sellout. Gets interesting, though. Gets way more interesting. Check this out. Somebody goes, this man literally said, fuck all N-words, and you are keying it with him. Y'all boys some horse for the likes. And then a laughing emoji. Again, you can't tweet nowadays without putting an emoji. You just can't do it. I think you get fined for it if you do so. Now, then check this out, man. Come on. What's the implication here? This dude goes, you sat down with this degenerate Mexican that talked down on the black man for views. Mexican. So he's talking, Mexican, but he's Mexican. So saying he's trash. And then he puts a picture of, what's his name? Denzel Washington shooting Idris Elba's character in American Gangster. I mean, I'm telling you, right away with the violence with some of these people. I don't get it. And then some of them get complained when they get called by other people. They get called violent. Well, I mean, you can't be acting this way and then expect otherwise. Then another person goes, y'all trying to spin it, but rarely does a boxer on Boots level. Oh, wait, what is this? This is not, excuse me. This is a different, this is for the Canelo's Boots sparring thing. So I got a couple more here. Bear with me. Somebody called him out and said, I've never sat down and watched a whole Cigar Talk interview. I've only seen clips while scrolling on the timeline. Intuition says that Najee is a corporate shill type. He comes across as independent boxing media, but dude came out of nowhere and blew up fast. So see, people are questioning where Najee came from. Who is paying him exactly? And then D-Block said, he's a sellout. And by the way, his eyes look, oh, come on. By the ways his eyes look, and he's drinking hard liquor. Again, I just read the comment as is, by the way. So I know it's grammatically incorrect, but I'm just telling you how it was written. So Inevitable D-Block is accusing Najee of drinking that lean. He's accusing Najee of being an alcoholic. Look in his eyes. He's been drinking that hard liquor like Bradley. They got liver issues. This is coming from the hospital source. Okay, so he's claiming he's got sources on this. And then there was more to that conversation real quick. Hold on a second. Then some people go, cringe ass bum. We ain't watching this trash. Another guy goes, you're a pussy with no backbone. You cried about Theo's racist remarks and look at you now. And then check this out. This dude goes, he's Nigerian, not black American. So you see, let me tell you people a little something here about social relations, cultural relations. A lot of people think that the biggest war, the biggest strife comes between, say, Afro Anglos and white people. It's a lot of strife, maybe too, between Afro Anglos and Hispanics. None of those hold a candle to the two unseen, what should I call them? To the two unseen rivalries people really overlook. And that is, well, there's one. There's the Afro Anglo man versus the Afro Anglo woman. That's been going on for millennia. And then you have the Afro Anglo versus African rivalry. Very underrated. Very underrated because the Africans, they remained dwelling in deepest, darkest Africa. Whereas a lot of Afro Anglos obviously were plucked away from the continent and taken to America against their will, kidnapped essentially. So there's been there's a diaspora that occurred. They're people without a land. They don't feel like they're really Americans. A lot of them hate white people, and that doesn't seem to be going away anytime soon, at least in certain parts of the United States. And so there are some Afro Anglos who want to go. They talk about Africa as the homeland, but then a lot of Africans don't like Afro Anglos, particularly because they look at Afro Anglos. They don't seem to enjoy the gangster culture that permeates rap music. Some of the other lowbrow aspects of the hip hop community, the shootouts, the drive-bys, and so a lot of Africans look down on Afro Anglos. So there's a lot of strife between Africans and Afro Anglos, and I think you're starting to see that. You see that seeping a little bit through that whole Naji thing, because as you saw, let me just put it back up there, so that you can see that I am not speaking out of school here. Somebody said that he is not an Afro Anglo; he's Nigerian. And I'm thinking, well, what difference does it make, right? I mean, can't Africans be called the N-word too? Or is that just specific to Afro Anglos? I know some people know that the history better. Oh, the N-word, that was only for slaves, Afro Anglo slaves, blah, blah, blah. Whatever. Ryan Garcia is racist. He's probably racist against black people as a whole, not just against Afro Anglos. So I don't understand what him being Nigerian has to do with it. But again, people have to unravel all of this now to try to get to Naji and sort of try to present a picture about why he would have Ryan Garcia. So in other words, he's not loyal to the Afro Anglo cause. So this guy goes, he's Nigerian, he's not Black American, and then other people started saying, "Oh, it makes sense now." Listen, I don't know Naji. I've never really watched his show or his interviews. I've seen snippets on Twitter. Do I think he's a racist, or do I think he's not down for the Afro Anglo cause, or blah blah blah? I don't know. All I'm saying is I'm very skeptical of people who conduct interviews with boxers and who do that as their bread and butter as it pertains to boxing. I don't know if he has another job. From what I understand, he's a musician of some sort or a music producer. So maybe that's his real job, and this boxing thing is just a side gig. I don't know. By the way, the music producer thing might make sense about how he manages to get those fighters. Maybe he's got an agent or something, and he's able to get, or a publicist as well, and they're able to get him these interviews. But I'm very skeptical of these people who conduct interviews for a living with boxers, because that's their bread and butter, and they got to do and say certain things that go against what they really believe in order to get those interviews. I'm not saying he's like Eli Segbach, by the way, because Eli Segbach really is the bar when it pertains to a guy really not having that many standards. If you look at Eli Segbach, what was happening with him defending Tank Davis after the Jake Paul fallout, or Jake Paul fight announcement fallout, I said it in the last show. Eli Segbach strikes me as a guy who has no shame. That's it. He's got no shame. All he cares about is the numbers. If his YouTube page gets to 1 million subscribers, if his videos do above a certain number that he wants, if he gets the amount of impressions that he wants on Twitter, that's what he's happy with. It's a business for him. He's the type of guy that doesn't matter what people say about him, doesn't matter what fighters say about him, how he's perceived. All he cares about at the end of the day is, yeah, but you're watching me at the end of the day. He says it himself. He always says that. Well, you know who I am, though. That's all he cares about. He's got no shame. So with a guy like that, what can you do? It's nothing sticks to him because he doesn't care. He's the type of guy that if you got into business with him, and he probably would backstab you in the business aspect, he would tell you, "Well, it's just business," as if the business world and the real world are somehow separate, like it's happening in another dimension. You don't need to have scruples in the business world because it's just business. That's how Eli Sagbay looks at it. It's just business. He doesn't really care about how he's looked at. He doesn't care about his standards. He sleeps very well at night. Believe me. I mean, I would assume. I would assume. So that's Eli Sagbay. So I don't know if Najee is that type of guy too. I don't know if all he cares about is the views. I don't know if he's rubbing his hands right now and going, "Oh yeah, this is what I wanted," because he must have known he was going to get some criticism for having Ryan Garcia, and not only just having Ryan Garcia, but the clip he posted. I mean, come on, he couldn't have posted a little snippet of him confronting Ryan Garcia about the race thing. That would have then been a little bit more. That would have softened the blow a little bit because at least people would have looked at that clip and said, "Oh, he's gonna call out Ryan Garcia." Instead, he puts a clip of him partying down with Ryan Garcia, yucking it up. So I think he knows exactly what he's doing, and it might just be the case that I'm talking about here, that he doesn't care how he comes across. He doesn't care if people call him a Nigerian, a fake Afro-Anglo, whatever, or fake to the cause. He just wants the numbers. That may well be the case. But things ended up getting a little bit weirder, though, because one of the interested parties in all of this was Devin Haney. And boy, oh boy, did he fire off a couple of things at Najee. So Devin Haney said, "Najee a sellout." Call him a sellout. Najee responded by saying, "Left hook must still have you not seeing straight because I'm the realest interviewer in the game. Your feelings are misguided, young man." Oh, young man. He hit them with the young man. "Tighten up and make sure you focus on Brian Norman. Tough fight ahead." So then Devin Haney replied by saying, "You prove my point, bitch. It's about time N-words like you start getting their shit slapped out of them. N-word, you can't fight a lick and talking about a left hook." All right, so Najee did go with the he did him dirty, as they say in the streets. He tried to insult Haney, tried to get under his skin by replying with the left hook. For those of you that have been living on the rock, that's the punch that ended up hurting Haney over and over against Ryan Garcia. But so that wasn't necessary from Najee. You could tell that he was hurt by Devin Haney calling him a sellout, so he had to reply back with something to try to hurt Haney back. But that response by Haney saying, you prove my bitch, and talking about how you can't fight. I got news for Devin Haney. Just because you're a boxer doesn't mean you're a fighter. In other words, and this is sometimes difficult to explain to people, but because a lot of people out there who've never boxed or just generally overrate fighters as a whole, they always tell you that. You can't call a fighter a bitch or a coward because they step into that ring. Anybody that steps into the ring is not a coward. I disagree. I've seen plenty of people who have less than stellar character or virtues step into the ring. I'm talking about people who generally avoid conflict outside the ring. They're afraid to talk to people. They're afraid to talk to women. They don't know how to handle their women. They're cowardly in a lot of other aspects in life, and yet they get in that ring. But then they get in that ring. Are they fighting? Are they showing panache? Are they showing strength? No, they don't. So just because you walk into those ropes, yeah, there's a degree of courage necessary, but that doesn't mean that everybody that steps into the ring now all of a sudden is a fighter and is a tough guy. That's not what it's about. There's plenty of boxers out there that can't fight a lick. There's fighters out there, Devin Haney, case in point, who spend their time clinching. They need not rehydration clauses, but they need weight advantages. They're weight bullies. People say that about Devin Haney. Oh, he ain't a weight bully. He ain't a weight bully. Then why is he outweighing his opponents by so many pounds? Why do we know, according to Mauricio Suleiman, who told Bill Haney to his face, this was back in 2021, I believe, when Haney was still a lightweight, Suleiman told Bill Haney, your son rehydrates from 135 to 160 pounds. And Bill Haney didn't deny it. He just said, oh, okay, yeah, I thought you meant something else, blah, blah, blah. So he didn't deny it. Then we have the Haney fight night weight from the pro grade fight. He weighed 140 on fight night, on the weigh-in, 140 pounds, weighs 163. I believe it was 163. Might have been 165 as well. I forget. On fight night. And then we have clips of him telling 4 of his opponents, you're too small. You're too small. So Haney does have special advantages. He is a weight bully. He's admitting it himself. He's not telling these guys that they're too small just for the heck of it or just to state a fact. He's trying to bully them in there because he feels he can do that without a weight advantage. And so when Haney comes in there and starts talking about you ain't a fighter, I got news for you, Haney. You ain't a fighter either. Just because you're a boxer doesn't mean you're a fighter. Boxing is controlled violence. It's a sport at the end of the day. I know people like to say you don't play boxing, blah, 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 which is true. It's still combat, but it's a combat sport, regulated combat. You can't kill somebody in the ring. There's a referee there to stop you. I mean, obviously, there's fighters that die every year, unfortunately. But what I'm saying is you can't just keep beating and beating and beating and beating your opponent if you knock him out. There are rules. You knock the guy out, that's it. He's out. The fight's over. Street fight, that's where anything goes. That's a real fight. Because you don't know if you're going to get killed in a street fight or not. And anything goes. There's no rules in a street fight. So for Haney to be talking as if he's a tough guy, oh, you ain't a fighter. Yeah, Naji fucked up too by bringing up the left foot. He didn't need to do that. That was a low blow. But then again, I understand why he did it because Devin Haney called him a sellout. Whatever. What I'm saying is this whole thing there from Haney acting like, oh, you ain't a fighter. I'm going to slap you. I'd slap you if I saw you, or, people like you need to get slapped. May I remind, by the way, Haney, that, again, talking about the tough guy aspect or being courageous in outside the ring, he can't seem to control his woman. I mean, his woman or ex is accusing him of throwing her down the stairs. So that doesn't seem like a tough guy thing to me, if indeed it happened. But you know what? Forget about speculation, because again, I don't want to get into the legal dispute. Who knows if that's even true? Let's go to the video evidence. This is Devin Haney in 2 instances where a scuffle was involved. All right? So let's see what old Devin Haney does when his back is up against the wall. There's Devin Haney with the beige pants. He throws a jab against a Guatemalan carny. His boys step in. You can see they outnumber him. So the guy in the green jacket there starts going at it. They start going at it. And look at Haney. He steps away. He threw one measly weak jab, but he didn't have a weight advantage here, so he did nothing, as always. Now, even with the weight advantage, I should say, he doesn't really do anything to his opponents. And then he walks away. Look at him. Maybe it's because he heard the siren. I don't know. He just walks away. This is against Brian Norman.
But once again, we so blessed to fight him.
Listen, we're giving you an opportunity.
He got the belt.
He got
the belt.
Keep your eye on the lower portion of that video, the second angle. So this is when the scuffle starts, right? So Haney's boyfriend steps in. Look at Haney. Look at how even Bill Haney at least is trying to get in there. Devin just stands back. Look at that. He even pushed his father towards the violence. Look at that. See that how he pushed him forward? Like, yeah, go get him, Pops. Go get him for me. Yeah, go get him for me, Pops. And now he starts stepping in a little bit now that everything's going on, they're farther away. Wow, Devin Haney. Devin Haney talking about people needing to get slapped. Meanwhile, this dude runs away from a carny and pushes his father towards a scuffle. Yeah, real tough guy there, Devin Haney. Let me tell you, real tough guy. So again, it's the people that talk the most that you got to watch out for. You just have to. I mean, it's a unfortunate thing, but Devin Haney's been doing a little bit too much talking, and he's still one of the most disliked fighters out there. It's just a reality because of things like this. But what do you guys think? Are you going to watch the Naji interview with Ryan Garcia, or are you going to be doing other stuff? Do you have more interesting stuff to do? Let me know in the comment section. Let's go to the chat real quick. Don't forget to hit that like, fellas. Hit that like. Really helps us out. Pancho Villa says, Shakira and his buddy were caught on film beating a woman and her man. What? Oh, Shakur Stevenson. Okay, yeah. I don't know. I was still talking about Devin Haney. Yeah. Yeah, we know about that. See, that's another dude. See, people always say that you fight like you train. But I also think a little bit of that character seeps into the ring. For example, Arturo Gatti was a wild guy outside the ring. And you could see that in the ring, the way he fought. Then you guys like Devin Haney and Shakur Stevenson, beating up women, beating up carnies, pushing their fathers, their near elderly fathers into a war so that they don't need to get their hands dirty. And then you see how they fight in the ring. But they're lucky that they're Americans, because the bar is set low for a lot of these American fighters. Look at Shakur Stevenson. Everyone's looking. I just saw the next issue of Ring Magazine. It's about how there's an article about Shakur Stevenson. It's about how he can fight. We just found out the man can fight. He shut down his critics because he didn't run. People are praising him because he didn't run. So that's how low the bar is set for some of these American fighters. If this was 1960s, 70s, even the 90s, I don't think they'd be able to get away with this. Mr. Pelavaca says, salute BDA, salute, salute. Salute right back at you. Random guy says, BDA, ya voy a entrar al jale, no mames, habla de Canelo. Yeah, I already talked about Canelo. You want me to talk a little bit more? Stay tuned on this channel because, again, we're almost, just a little bit over 2 weeks away from the fight. Oh boy, can't wait. Official scorecard says, bad matchmaking by Haney. He shows a strong kid in the amusement park. Yeah, that was bad. That was bad matchmaking, man. It's because Bill Haney wasn't there to protect Devin Haney. That's why. Bill Haney is the one who picks and chooses who they fight. Roland says Haney went off to buy some cotton candy. Yeah, I think that's what he did. Dr. Mofongo says Haney is always telling his opponents you're too small. That was a Freudian slip. He and his dad played the system for years. Now the jig is up. I don't think it was a Freudian slip, man, because he said it about 4 times in different instances. Dino Bravo says Dennis Rodman would have been an interesting boxer. Why is that? Because he was crazy too outside the ring? Or didn't he used to get in fights too, by the way? I think that's what I remember in the 90s. I remember in the tabloids and in the news, they were always talking about Rodman getting into some scuffles in the court, I believe, in the basketball court. Or am I confusing him with a guy from the Pistons? Because weren't the Detroit Pistons renowned for being tough guys and always fighting with people? Or am I mistaking that with the hockey team? That there was a hockey team from Detroit. I think all of Detroit back pre-1990s were considered tough guys. Anything that they did. Random guy says, preséntame a tu hermana BDA para que tengas un hombre de verdad en tu vida. I don't got a sister. But if you need some pusai, sounds like you need it, I can hook you up, man. Plenty of whores here in Montreal. I often work with people who have mental issues, and I always tell them, look, listen, if you just need to get some pusai. And I can, if you're low on funds, I can even get you some cheap ones. LL, shout out to LL, says BDA got a chin. He ate Haney's hook. He's saying that I'm the carny in there. What else do we got? The Detroit Pistons were called the Bad Boys. Okay. So I remember hearing something about that. I wasn't imagining it. Official scorecard box says, yeah, the Pistons were tough and dirty, and Rodman played for them before coming to Chicago. That makes sense. All right, I got it. What else do we got here? Like I said, fellas, don't forget to hit the like. It really helps us out. Who keeps messaging me here? Hold on. Sober says, I'll join in 10 minutes. Unacceptable. He's got to join now. All right. What else? I got a couple of things planned for the Canelo-Crawford build-up. I got a question to ask people out there. Because I see a lot of people who are in the chat who never jump on the Open Lines Discord shows. If we were to do a StreamYard episode, are you guys more amenable? What's the word I'm looking for here? Open to joining StreamYard. In other words, let me get an opinion here. Do you think more people are willing to jump on StreamYard than on Discord? And if so, let me know why you believe that. Let me know that in the comments here in the chat, because I was thinking about that. Every time I've been, like I said, I've been watching a lot of shows in the build-up to Crawford Canelo, and I see people on StreamYard that I've never seen anywhere else. And I'm thinking, well, StreamYard, all you got to do is, if you're on your phone, you go to the StreamYard website, you log in with your Google account or YouTube account, whatever, and you're in. I think that's how it works. Discord, a lot of people I think don't have Discord. That's more like a video game thing. The only reason I use Discord is because years ago when they discontinued Google Hangouts, Bucho and I, we were looking for an alternative, and we found Discord. But most people, from what I understand, use Discord for video games, or most of them are below the age of 40. So I'm thinking maybe there's people out there 40 and above who might not even have that, but they do have StreamYard. So let me know, because I'm thinking about doing some StreamYard episodes just for this fight alone, see how it works. Not necessarily how it works, but if it works out. and if more people end up joining, because I want to get some new blood in here too, some especially for a big fight like this of this magnitude. I want to get different types of opinions. We're still gonna do the open lines on Discord and opening up the phone lines, but I'm just curious what you guys think. What are people saying? Roland says yes because YouTubers don't know what Discord is. See, that's what I'm getting. And also the thing that I was thinking about is if somebody sees the link for Discord, they gotta download the application, then they gotta create an account. Right there, it's just 2 steps. But in the age of social media and ADHD, I don't know if that's enough to dissuade people from joining. Dustin says, I don't know how I would jump in the stream, but I'd be down. Pigeon says Discord is way better. All right, shout out to Pigeon. Well, Pigeon, yeah, but see, that's the thing. Pigeon does it all. He does StreamYard, he does Discord, probably does a couple of other things we don't know about. He says older YouTube users don't know what Discord is, right? And that's the other thing is you put the link on YouTube, it takes you to StreamYard. All you got to do is put in your Google information and boom, you're in. Miso Dionysian says the users on Discord are usually trans. All right. Cali Bear says it seems like everyone uses StreamYard from boxing to sports on YouTube. Mr. Palavaca says you always have the same old losers on the. Come on, what are you gonna call the pilots losers, man? Come on, why did you jump in, Mr. Palavacas? Freshen things up a little bit instead of just sniping from the sidelines. Come on, he calls them losers. Pigeon says boomers think Discord is a pop band from the 1980s. That's a good one. LL says I will be the first member. First member or what? Mark says whatever IBFP uses. Yeah, he uses StreamYard. Double L says I saw Uncle Charles struggle to use Discord live because he was waiting in the BDA VC and not the open line server. Yeah, that's the other thing. I saw him too there. I was doing a show one day and then I was perusing Discord and I see he's in the main VC. I go, what's he doing there? Like, is he even? I mean, again, some people just don't know how to use it. So, anyway, that's all I wanted to get to. I wanted to get your thoughts and confer with you fellas about whether we should start switching over to Discord. All right, let's keep going on with the boxing here. Got a lot of stuff to talk about. Excuse me. Sergey Boachak has won his appeal, by the way, being reinstated as a WBC #1 contender. Apparently, there was some discrepancy about who exactly was going to be the contender, because the Boachuk fight against Mikhail Fox, that was Boachuk's last fight, that was at a catchweight of 160 something. So it was above the junior middleweight limit. And I think this next fight against Brandon Adams, the rematch, I think that's also above 154. So I don't even know if this dude can make 154 anymore. So who knows what was going on there? But apparently he still wants to remain at 154, or at least wants to get a crack at one of those belts. So he's back being the #1 contender right there. Man, him against what's his name, Murtasaliev, that would be a war. That would be a war of epic proportions, and I don't understand why more people aren't talking about that fight. And then again, at that moment, it seems like nobody really wants to fight Murtasaliev. If anybody in boxing right now deserves the boogeyman mantle, that's Murtasaliev. Jermall Charlo, by the way, has been guaranteed a world title shot at one of the belts after Canelo versus Crawford as well. I believe it's the WBA. It says here from what I'm reading that he's been guaranteed an immediate world title shot upon his return thanks to his champion in recess status with the WBA. Well, how long does that last, by the way? The last time we saw him fight was against Canelo in September 2023. We're damn near 2 years away from that, and he's still... See, again, this is when people keep talking about, oh, this guy beat this amount of champions, and, oh, this guy's got a belt. You know, I've been hearing that about Zayas. Somehow he's the A side against Virgil Ortiz because Zayas has a belt. First of all, Ortiz ain't exactly Oscar de la Hoya in there when it comes to star appeal. But, you know, Zayas was calling him a prospect. Oh, you're a prospect because you haven't won a championship yet. Who gives a shit about the belts? I'll take a win over Boachuk and Majramov any day over a win against Perez for a paper belt. Who gives a shit? And this is, again, Exhibit A here. these organizations, they'll make anybody a champion, and they'll give anybody a shot as long as they get paid accordingly, or as long as they like the guy, or as long as it fits with their horrible ratings. How is Charlo deserving of a title shot? By the way, did you see that? Real quick, did you guys see that Jermell Charlo is talking about fighting Errol Spence? They started going at it a little bit on Twitter. I don't have the tweets with me here. I didn't have time to get them, but they were throwing shade at each other, as they like to say in the streets. Shade. What's his name? Jermell Charlo posted an AI-generated image of a lion consuming a fish. Because remember, Errol Spence is the big fish, right? Or the shark or whatever. So they're talking about fighting each other. Now, I don't know if this is all premeditated or pre-planned or just being used to generate a fight amongst each other, because they go, listen, we're both finished more or less. None of us have fought since 2023. Spence obviously had his issues. Finally admitted this year that, yeah, alcoholism seemed to ruin his career. Hence the Terence Crawford performance. Maybe this is just them getting together because they're friends, Charlo and Spence, and they got together and they said, you know what? We don't have a lot of options here. Would we really want to risk a fight against a tune-up? And even then, a tune-up where? The PBC doesn't have the funds to be holding tune-ups. I mean, what the PBC managed to do in the last year and a half was they would pack whatever remaining fighters they had in a big card, and most of these fights were designed for these fighters to shake the rust off or as tune-ups. I'll give you an example. They got this PBC card coming up between Fundora and Keith Thurman. Again, Keith Thurman has only had one fight in the last 3 years, and that's a main event right there. Also, you have, what was the other one? There's another fight there. Ray Vargas is fighting. That dude is box office poison. So that's what they're doing, though. They don't have a lot of dates, so they just have to cram all their fighters in there in some of these subpar fights. So I wouldn't be surprised if they do that Errol Spence-Charlo fight as a main event for a pay-per-view, because that's all they can do, really, at Amazon for the most part, a pay-per-view. So instead of shaking off the rust against some nobody, which they would then have to siphon that tune-up into a pay-per-view, a PBC pay-per-view event. Instead, what they can do is, all right, we'll just be the tune-up for each other. We're big names. We're big PBC names. People seem to enjoy us on social media. You know, the Spence and Charlo are part of the old guard of the PBC. Maybe it could do decent numbers. That's what they're banking on. Because otherwise, it wouldn't work out. How else is they going to get the money that they want by finding a tune-up? So maybe that makes sense. But it also goes to show you, by the way, because I think they were talking about back in the day about how Charlo and Spence would never fight each other. Look at them now. It seems like it could happen. And that's what I was trying to get at in this last, I want to say 14 months, about the potential Keyshawn Davis versus Shakur Stevenson fight. These guys are talking about, no, we ain't never going to fight each other. And people believed it. I disbelieved it. I disbelieve it. I still think these guys would fight each other if the money's right. One of the reasons why I was sort of skeptical about it was because these dudes take boxing personally. Whereas other people look at it as a sport, and we've seen friends fight each other and then still remain friends afterwards. I don't think these guys would be able to do it because their egos are too fragile. Keyshawn Davis has a fragile ego. Look at the way he's been acting in the last 6 months. And look at some of the things he says prior to fights, getting into scuffles, talking down on his opponents. He really takes it personally. Same thing with Shakur Stevenson. Him and his friends get into it with their opponents. Their opponents are nothing but nice people. Shakur Stevenson and his entourage still feel like they got to rile him up. They make all these promises about how they're going to put belt to ass. Then the fight goes to a boring 12-round decision. But they still talk a lot. That's why I didn't think that, okay, maybe I was on board with what people were saying. Maybe Shakur Stevenson and Keyshawn Davis will never fight each other because they're friends. And because of that, if one guy beats the other, it's going to ruin the relationship because they take boxing too seriously. For them, it's personal. But then I started thinking, wait a minute. All these guys need to do is get into a disagreement. Maybe if Keyshawn Davis would have beaten Edwin De Los Santos, and again, that fight never ended up happening, but if it would have happened, let's say Keyshawn Davis would have knocked out De Los Santos, I'm pretty sure Shakur Stevenson would have tweeted out something like, man, I'm happy for my boy. I'm happy for my boy. We brothers. But I'm pretty sure deep down inside, because he's like that, he's got a very fragile ego, he would have been displeased by that, and that would have been the seed that would have later on fermented and germinated into a potential blowout, and then these guys become enemies. It happened between Mayweather and Judah too. These guys were friends. But then little by little, they start having disagreements. They spar together. Apparently, Mayweather kicked the crap out of Jude in sparring, and that was it. That was the catalyst that made them fight each other. Also, the money was very good at the time for them to fight each other, so it ended up happening. So again, for people that say, "Oh, these guys are friends; they're never going to fight each other," boxing history is replete with friends fighting each other and former friends fighting each other. Because yeah, like I said, they used to be friends, but then something happened that they turned them into enemies, and they ended up fighting each other. So never say never as it pertains to Shakur Stevenson and Keyshawn Davis. Just because these guys talk long and hard about being friends doesn't mean they are. I see we got Gonzalo jumping in here. Oh, and we got Sobers jumping in. Fellas, are you there?
Hey, how's it going, Mr. VDA?
What's up, Gons? What's up? Hey, sorry I couldn't get back to you on Discord yesterday. Very busy day, man. Very busy day. I had it. I had everything shut down. Social media shut down. I was focusing on something very, very important. Not to say that you're not important, Gons, but I couldn't get back to you till the morning.
He was deep in the goon cave.
How you guys doing?
I was deep in the goon cave. Well, maybe I was, Sobers. What's it to you, man? Why, you gonna judge me now? Is that what you're gonna do? I was with my. I was in my goon station, as I like to call it. No, but listen, real quick. What do you guys think? Again, we got Charlo and Spence. They were started to going at it. It seems like that fight's going to happen. And these guys are friends, and they're going to fight each other after a lot of people said that they were never going to because they were friends. What do you guys think? Do you think Keyshawn Davis and Shakur Stevenson, what are the chances that these guys do end up fighting at one point?
I think Stevenson will leave the division. You know what I mean? I've already heard I've heard these guys talk about not fighting each other. Most of that came from Shakur Stevenson, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I've heard Keyshawn Davis say, "Hey, man, the money's right. Let's fight." You know, I've heard him say that. So I really think that Stevenson will leave the division before he really has to face him, or he gets too much pressure to actually do it.
Yeah,
because I don't think that Turkey. What's up?
You're forgetting a detail here. Keyshawn Davis already moved up. Isn't he going to move up?
Oh yeah, he can even. Yeah, he lost his belt on the scale already, didn't he?
Right, and he's trying to get a shot at Teofimo Lopez now. Apparently, he's trying to push the whichever alphabet organization is involved in that to mandate him as a top contender.
Yeah.
I think it's the WBO, by the way.
That.
I think it's the WBO, right? I think the WBO have something special that if you're the champ at 135 at one division and you move up, or was that the WBC? I forget.
Yeah, I think I think that's all of them. I think that's all of them. It'll let you become the number one contender at the next division, but he lost it on the scale, so he kind of lost that privilege, right?
Yeah, well, I mean,
his
I don't put
privilege
anything.
has been revoked.
Oh, wait, his benefits have been revoked. I got you. Listen, yeah. I don't put anything past these organizations. These alphabet organizations, they're all snakes, they're all weasels, and I don't like them. Gons, what do you think? You think this? You think Keyshawn Davis and Shakur Stevenson could fight down the line?
Keyshawn Davis and Shakur Stevenson. Let me see. Weren't they like friends or something that they said they were?
Well, that's what I'm saying, because I'm saying I was talking earlier about Charlo and Spence. It looks like they might fight each other despite the fact that they're friends, and people were saying, "Oh, they're never going to fight each other because they're friends." So I'm saying these two dudes are going to fight. What's the possibility that Keyshawn Davis and Shakur Stevenson, despite them all this talk about them being bros and all that, what are the chances that they would end up fighting if the money's right?
I don't think they would fight because, well, this is for a lot of money, because one would take the L, and then one would move on to make more money. Then the loser will feel like, okay, pretty much, like, I lost to this guy, so he gets to be happy and look at me, I'm stuck. I've sabotaged my own career by, fighting my best friend.
Well, I gotta tell you, man, Roland Curtis is thinking big here. He's thinking 2 steps ahead. He says it would be a big fight for Texas in Texas, because remember, those two guys are Texans. Winner of Charlo versus Spence versus the winner of Fundora versus Thurman, and the 2 losers can fight each other. That makes a lot of sense right there. That makes a lot of sense. Charlo versus Spence taking on the winner of Fundora. I mean, Charlo versus Fundora or Spence versus Fundora. That's about the best that the PBC can hope for. So that makes a lot of sense right there, man. By the way, who would you guys pick between Charlo and Spence right now? I know it's difficult to gauge because Spence, we don't know how he's going to look. But what would you guys say?
I think it's actually very easy to gauge how Spence will look. It's going to be shit.
Oh,
and I would pick Charlo to beat him. I would pick Charlo to beat him at any time in his career, to be honest. Yeah, Spence, he was a junior middleweight hanging out at welterweight, beating up on smaller guys.
Mm-hmm.
And he fought he fought most of his amateur career at 154. Well, a lot of fighters do that, right? They'll go down one weight class in the pros. But I think he actually had some fights at 154 at the beginning of his career, and then he went down, and then he started, doing his thing. But yeah, I think that Charlo is closer to his natural weight class, and I think he would outbox someone like Spence.
Yeah, you know
I
what,
don't
man?
think Spence is that good. I never thought he was that good, bro. I never thought he was that. He's just someone who was like bigger than his opponents, come in and like beat the shit. He beat the shit out of their bodies. He had good hooks, but I don't know.
Yeah, because the guys that gave what's his name, Charlo trouble. Tony Harrison gave him trouble in both fights, whether he was boxing him or pushing him back. But Charlo always managed to catch him and hurt him in those fights. He again, he lost the first fight, but he still managed to stun Harrison in that one. Jason Rosario tried backing him up. That doesn't work. The only guy who ended up outboxing him was Canelo Alvarez, and that was by pushing him back and blocking most of his big shots. I don't know if Errol Spence can even come close to doing what Canelo did. Even a prime Spence, he would have to walk into Charlo's wheelhouse, and that's the problem with doing so against Charlo, that he'll catch you coming in. He's a good counterpuncher, and he's bigger than Spence. Now, I remember hearing stories that, Charlo handled him in sparring. Spence handled him in sparring, blah, blah, blah. That's sparring.
I don't believe it.
Yeah, and that's sparring. Who cares? And by the way, Errol Spence did finally, because I remember after the Crawford Spence fight, people were saying, when people were bringing up the fact that Spence wasn't the same guy, people defended Crawford by saying, well, Spence never admitted to anything. He never made any excuses. But as I mentioned in the documentary that we did for the Crawford-Canelo fight, Spence did end up admitting that he wasn't leading a good lifestyle, and he said that the drinking really caught up to him at the end of the day. So that alcoholism of his, I don't even know. Even let's say he stopped drinking and partying and all that, is that going to be enough to get him back to where he was, or at least half to what he was 3-4 years ago? Because
Maybe
again,
halfway.
Because again, you got to keep in mind that the Porter accident happened in 2019. So you got to assume that he had some underlying effects from that accident. Then on top of that, the partying since then, the fact that he wasn't terribly active from 2020 to 2023, or even till today. He had one fight in 2020, that was Garcia, once in 2022, because he didn't fight at all in 2021, and then the one where he got the crap beat out of him in 2023. That's 3 fights since 2019. He's been inactive for about 2 years now. Well, I mean, I don't know. Remember how Jermall Charlo, how crappy he looked against Benavidez Jr. in their tune-up fight?
Yeah, he looked like Jamal. Yeah, he's no good no more.
Yeah, and Jermall didn't even take a beating.
Everyone was expecting him to knock. My bad. Go ahead.
No, I just said Jermall didn't even take a beating the way Spence did.
Right. Yeah. Right. And what are you attributing that to? His lack of being in the ring, or like his drug problems, alcohol problems? What do you think that was?
Exactly. So
I'm asking you.
Oh, you're asking me. But I mean, listen, whether he was having outside the ring problems, because that was a rumor, right? You saw how shitty he looked because of the inactivity and perhaps those extracurricular activities. Spence has been doing all of that. He has the inactivity, he has the shitty lifestyle, and on top of that, he's got a beating on him. So that's 3 things right there. I would be very surprised if he looks good. I know people are going to say, oh, well, people said the same thing before the Danny Garcia fight, and look how good he looked in that. I don't think he looked all that good. He was spitting his mouthpiece out. He was looking around like, where the fuck am I? He tried to turn it up late in the fight, and he couldn't do it. People were expecting that he was going to stop Danny Garcia, despite the whole car accident thing and all that. So,
yep, same thing with Jamal Charlo. Actually, I would attribute his problems to CTE and shell shock from his baby mama. That's what a toxic woman will do to you. You know what I mean? Like,
woman.
I think all the drugs and alcohol was to like cope with dealing with her, and you could tell she beat his ass. He had that weird like swelling in his jaw that doesn't go away anymore. You know what I mean? I think that's all attributed to his to evil baby mama syndrome.
Evil baby mamas, EBMS. EBMS. That's what we're gonna call it.
Mhm.
Evil baby mama syndrome. Yeah, they'll do it to you. He's yeah, you're right. His face looks all puffed up too. By the way, I
He
don't know
looks
what that's.
haggard and shit. Like,
Yeah, man.
he's like a bum now.
He might be a bum. You never know. What I wanted to say too about all of this is, I mean, we'll keep an eye on it. But the other thing I wanted to talk about was Joseph Parker. We've had this discussion on the show before about who should get a shot at Usyk next. Should it be Caballel? Should it be Joseph Parker? Well, wouldn't you know it? Parker is really pushing for that Usyk shot, that fight with Usyk, because the argument about him is that he's been on a long road since the Joey's loss. We've had people say that he deserves a shot more than Caballel. There's a debate that could take place there, but Parker's promoter, David Higgins, has publicly questioned the legitimacy of an injury that Alexander Usyk is claiming to delay the mandatory title negotiations. Because again, first they got to negotiate, and then it's possible that Usyk drops a belt in order to take on either Fury for a third time, which is something that the Sheik has been playing with. That's an idea that he's been toying with, or maybe take on Caballel for a lot of money. Again, Caballel is Muslim. What's his name? The Sheik seems to have a high regard for Caballel, and I think most fans would rather see Caballel take on Usyk rather than Joseph Parker, who, yes, he's a tough guy. He's an okay dude outside the ring. He doesn't talk a lot of smack, blah, blah, blah. So some people feel that he should be getting the shot. Other people feel like, hey, man, look, the guy's boring. Do we really want to see him get outboxed by Usyk? Because what is he going to do to Usyk? He's not as fast as Usyk. He's not as good as boxer on Usyk. He doesn't put the pedal to the metal, which is something that you need to do against Usyk at this point in his career. So, yeah, I don't understand why people want to see that. But on the other hand, and by the way, I'm going to share the screen with you here, fellas. Give me 2 seconds.
All right.
There does seem to be a legal precedent, or at least from the Alphabet organization standpoint, that maybe Parker does deserve the shot next at Usyk. Hold on, I'm just trying to change the stream quality here. So Higgins, who is Parker's promoter, and by the way, that Higgins, he went at it with Joshua in the build-up to the Parker-Joshua fight. He kept going at Joshua and saying, believe me, Parker is going to knock Joshua out. It's like, come on. Wait. Anyway, that dude looks a little bit insane. I'm going to show you a picture later on. The guy looks like a serial killer. He looks like a guard. He looks like he should be one of the scientists studying one of the xenomorphs in the Alien franchise. But he's been casting aspersions about Usyk. He's saying, because, Usyk claimed to be injured, and that's why he asked the whichever Alphabet organization is involved in this to delay the negotiations with Joseph Parker. But now David Higgins is accusing Usyk of not being injured, and this is Exhibit A. This Alexander Usyk recently dancing. I don't know where it was. I don't know if it was at a cult meeting or something. But Higgins looked at this. He said, "Wait a minute, how is this dude injured? Look at him, partying it up. Look at those moves."
He's popping and locking, fool. How you injured?
Yeah, look at that. How is he injured? Look at that. Look at that dexterity. Hey, Sobers, look at that dexterity. Look at that. That's the X factor. That's why he's so good.
That's my move right there.
Which one? This one?
Yeah, there you go.
Man, if you walk down the streets of Atlanta like that, they're gonna arrest you. They're gonna call the
someone's
cops.
gonna try to slap me on the ass.
Oh, jeez, Louise. All right,
That
so
reminds me
yeah,
of somebody else's move. Like, video, if you check in the chat in a second.
come on, no. What are we doing here, man? Come on. But what was I gonna say about all that? All right, so that's just I'm just giving you guys the rundown. Some people are saying Higgins is saying that that Usyk is not really injured and that he's faking it. Apparently, Higgins really thinks highly of Parker. That he thinks that Usyk is afraid of taking on Parker. By the way, it's a WBO. That's the organization that's mandating this, or it's supposed to mandate the Usyk versus Joseph Parker fight.
I believe Parker would give Usyk a hard fight because he's not as big as a lot of the other heavyweights, right? And he was always light on his feet earlier in his career, so he can still somewhat move. He doesn't do it as much now, which I think is to his benefit, right? Because he sits on his punches more. He's actually knocking out guys like Bacoli. So, barring a situation where he's in like against what was his name, the Juggernaut, Joe Joyce, where
Mhm.
he's completely getting run down and just exhausted. I think he could give Usyk some problems. Maybe not beat him, but I think he'd give him a good fight. Better than Dubois did. That's for sure. I think their
Yeah,
frames are similar. You know what I'm saying? And he has like some attributes that could give Usyk problems. You know what I mean? Like because he's faster than some of the other heavyweights. Well, maybe I'm still thinking about him when he was undefeated, right? Because he was like a back foot bitch.
yeah, he seems to have settled down a little bit more now, and I agree with you. It would be far from easy for Usyk to take on Joseph Parker, but I am not all that excited about seeing it because I don't think Parker has that much of a chance at beating Usyk because it would be a boxing match. That's what it would be, and Joseph Parker ain't beating Usyk in a boxing match. I don't think. Again, he could give him trouble. He's a big dude. Joseph Parker, you said they're about the same height, but Joseph Parker, you can tell he's thicker. He's a real heavyweight. Whereas Usyk,
Right.
now he's a real heavyweight, but he would still be the smaller guy, relatively smaller guy. So I'm not terribly interested in that fight either because I think it's going to be boring. That's what I think it would be. I think it would be uneventful. And Usyk only has so many fights left. He shouldn't spend it on a Joseph Parker fight. Listen, Joseph Parker, it's a business. The people don't want to see you fight Usyk. You ain't gonna fight Usyk. That's how it plays out. Speaking of people from New Zealand and Australia and that side of the world, Jai Opetaia, hailing from the where's he hailing from again?
Ringside, Gold Coast Convention Centre.
That's right, the Gold Coast Convention Center. Jai Opetaia, there were rumors that the Sheik was offering him a fight at heavyweight. The Sheik was telling him, "Listen, forget the cruiserweight division, move up to heavyweight. We'll take care of you." And one of the opponents being offered was Derek Chisora, still highly dangerous, even at 40 years of age. You saw the trouble that he gave Usyk 5 years ago, and Opetaia is not Usyk, at least not yet, hasn't proven to be as good as him. So that would have been a very difficult fight, but apparently Jai Opetaia has recently come out and said that, nah, I want to unify at 200 pounds,
Good.
cruiserweight. What do you guys think? Is he wasting his time? Because the IBF now is mandating that he fight some other unknown guy who I think is 40 years old or something, despite a glossy undefeated record. What do you guys think? Should Jai Opetaia just move up already?
Well, I think that he has unfinished business at cruiserweight. I do want to see him fight Zurdo Ramirez, and if he goes to heavyweight without fighting him, I will be saying that he fucking dug Zurdo. All right,
Oh,
so he has unfinished business
oh,
at
come on, man.
cruiserweight, and there is no I don't think there's a rush for him to go to heavyweight, right? He's like 20, he's in his like late 20s, right? So the only
Yeah.
real rush that there is people are pushing him to try to fight Usyk, and they're also pushing Atama to fight Usyk to put, you know what I mean? Like I don't see that fight realistically happening, unless Usyk's going to be 39 fighting Opetaia. So I just think the Turkey's just trying hard to buff up the heavyweight division, and like I said, he has unfinished business at cruiserweight, and he should just do that. He should take his time because if they push him up to heavyweight, it's because they're rushing him into a fight with Usyk.
I think you're right. Look at that, by the way, Sobers. That's my goon face right there.
Yeah, that's the coon face.
That's show me your goon face. We're gonna do a meme about that, like Full Metal Jacket. Show me your war face.
He looks like a Mandalorian too, bro.
Well, he's from New Zealand. That's where the guy who plays one of the characters is from, right?
Yes.
The guy
I put what's his name? What's his name looks like one too. Joseph Parker. Maybe he's the guy for the job, right?
Oh no, excuse me. I always keep forgetting. What's his name? Opetaia. He's from Australia, right? But is he originally New Zealander or what is he? Because he looks Maori.
He looks like a Maori to me.
Yeah, he looks like a Maori. Yeah.
So wherever they're from, dude.
Order. The Gold Coast Convention Centre.
There you go. Yeah, so you're right, man. I mean, look, listen. Zurdo Ramirez, unfortunately, is incapacitated. That's the problem with him. He's incapacitated right now, so he's going to be out for a couple of months, I think. Opetaia is 30 years old. So, yeah, he still has a good year before he chooses. He still has a good year before he reaches his peak, his absolute peak, and he can move up to heavyweight. And he'll still, even at 33, 34, he could still be quicker than most of the heavyweights. But I don't know, man. I mean, is the Zurdo Ramirez fight really that important?
Yes, it is.
Now, who would you pick in that one?
I mean, what fight's more important than that? That he just Chisora?
I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, I'd be more interested in the Chisora fight than the Zurdo Ramirez fight. I
Really?
think maybe I'm underrating Zurdo. I'm
I
having.
find
I mean,
your lack of faith disturbing, BDA. Yeah. I don't like that.
well, you'll find a lot of things about me disturbing, but listen, yeah, that's the way I see it. But it could end up being a very good fight. Could end up being a very good fight, by the way. By the way, real quick, shout out to who is it? Manos de Dinamita.
Wait
Shout out
till
to
we see your
Manos.
toy box, right?
Yeah, wait till you see the toy box in my goon station. You'll be surprised. Manos de Dinamita says, I'm more interested in Usyk versus Caballel. Well, there you go. Shout out to Manos de Dinamita. And I agree. I would rather see Usyk in there against Caballel. But okay, but Sobers, who would you pick then between Zurdo and Opetaia?
You already know, bro. I put Sudolochenko, man. That's why I want to see the fight.
Uh-huh. And how do you see him winning?
So,
This
yeah, bro.
decision, knockout,
I
stoppage?
see him. Yeah, I see him kind of. That's why I feel like everybody's underrating Sudo, right? But because at cruiserweight, I think he's kind of a bit undersized, but he's making the weight comfortably, and I think he's looking all right at the weight class. And obviously, Opetaia is a favorite guy, but that's why you got to put them in fire, bro. You got to put them there with somebody legit. That's why I think it'd be silly to like send Opetaia up to heavyweight to chase Usyk when what world class competition has he really beat that you think like, okay, this guy's ready.
You're right, man. You're right, because the people that he's been knocking out spectacularly, they're stiffs. And when I see, people used to, they throw the word bomb out there very loosely and all that. But some of these dudes,
When I say bum,
Mhm.
no, I'm sorry, go ahead, BD.
I mean, look, his best opponents are as follows: Brady's, who still managed to give him a very tough fight, even in the second one, even when Brady's was damn near 40 years old, or I think he already was 40 years old in the rematch, and he'd been away from the ring for 2 years, still managed to give Opetaia a very tough fight. Then you got Jack Massey. He's a cruiserweight guy who fought at heavyweight at one point, and he took Joseph Parker the distance, and okay, Opetaia stopped him. Didn't drop him or anything, but they made that he forced the Massey's corner to throw in the towel. So that's a good win right there. And then his next big win is Nika, David Nika, a guy who was 6 feet 6 inches tall, and that dude managed to stun Opetaia.
Yep.
So all these other dudes that he's knocking out cold, like Jordan Thompson and these other dudes that I forget, they really are. I mean, the last guy he fought, the Italian guy that looked like Canelo, that guy was a stiff. He was a stiff. So you're right, man. Maybe I am overrating Opetaia based off the speed, because that's what usually gets us, right? And maybe I'm underrating Zurdo because Zurdo looks fat. He looks slow. He looks like he doesn't wash his hair. A whole bunch of things. So maybe you're right. Maybe I am underrating Surdochenko a little bit.
I believe so. But yeah, no, but Opetaia passes the eye test. You know what I'm saying? Like, he does look impressive. But like you're pointing out, a lot of his opponents are stiff. So someone got to be able to hit him back. And someone, like, when they do, he's been stunned. So I'm not saying Zurdo can hurt him, but he can box. I think he can box with him.
Yeah, and let's not forget that Opetaia has not looked stellar when he goes past the sixth round. Now, again, that was against Brady's. But
did he break his jaw?
In the first fight, he got his jaw fractured, and then in the rematch, his energy level really got depleted in the championship rounds. And Brady's wasn't even really doing that much to really push him back or anything.
Right.
And even then, he sort of maybe Zurdo, who's younger. I don't think he's as crafty as Brady's, but like I said, he's younger. He digs to the body more. If he can survive those early
angles.
Yeah, if he can survive that early onslaught from Opetaia, which will come, I don't know, maybe things could get interesting. So, you know what? You just sold the fight to me. I want to see it now. I want to see it.
Facts. That's what's up.
There you go. We're gonna change your nickname from codename Snake to the Salesman. That's gonna be your new nickname.
It's one and the same, right?
Yeah, why not, man? A lot of salesmen are snakes. You're right. If we call you the attorney, it would be in the same level. Oshaki Foster is going to be taking on Stephen Fulton, by the way, October the 25th, I believe, on the pay-per-view undercard for Thurman versus Fundora. Man, that fight is an interesting fight between Foster and Fulton, but should be very boring. A lot of people are saying that Fulton is being punished. I think that's what Jimmy said, that Fulton is being punished still for daring to take the Inoue fight. and the PBC. Now they're forcing him to move up, take on Oshaki Foster. I'm confused though. Isn't Oshaki Foster with Top Rank?
Yeah, I don't think he's being punished, because I feel like they gave him a gift decision against that Mexican dude on that undercard when he was fighting on YouTube. I can't remember the dude's name,
Mm-hmm.
but I remember it was his comeback fight, and he got beat up, right? And
Right.
then they gave him the Brandon Figueroa rematch. He won that. I don't think they're punishing him per se, and it's not like he was ever a big star for them. You know what I mean? They tried something when they sent him to fight in a way. That was him, like, quote unquote, going for it. If he, like he went on a suicide mission. If he came back with the victory, cool. They will be able to turn you into a star off that. But if not, if he didn't fight in a way, he still wouldn't be nobody. Like he said, he walks down the street in Philly, don't no one know who he is.
You know what? Yeah, you're right, man. But that's the thing about Oshaki Foster, though. It's. I think he's with Top Rank, and I think this begins the process of Top Rank siphoning off some of their fighters and loaning them to other organizations. Because last I remember, Oshaki Foster used to be with the PBC. Then we saw him on the Zone against Rocky Hernandez, and we've seen him. He's been on Top Rank, so it's going to be interesting to see. Mark T in the chat says Foster does everything Fulton does, but better. I don't know about that. I think Fulton's a better inside fighter than Oshaki Foster. What do you guys think?
I think Oshaki Foster, he's too, what's the word? He's lazy, bro. He don't throw enough punches. He'll let fights get away from him with his lack of activity. And I think Fulton might be a little bit, like you said, better on the inside. He's definitely more active. So I think Fulton can win that fight. Oh, but also with the situation, I don't think it's necessarily so much Fulton being punished, but maybe it's more of a sign, like you're saying, of Top Rank changing, like they're dissolving, going to stars. Like, what the fuck are they thinking, dude?
What does Star have? Because I know they used to have that Spartacus series.
Oh yeah, you love that one.
Nah, I didn't love that one, but I never finished watching it, by the way. But it was good. It was okay, man. I like the violence. It was so exaggerated.
Yeah, no, yeah, it was cool. I think it was reminiscent of 300. I think that's what it was basically going for.
Yeah, because that show, the first season started way back. What was it, 2013, maybe 14? So I think even back then, that whole 300 thing was still popular, and that's what they were. Definitely, that's what they were going for. By the way, I don't know if you remember, but remember when the History Channel actually had documentaries, and this was right around the whole 300 thing. I'm talking 2006, might have been 2007 when they released it, but the History Channel released something called Ancient Battles, and it would be, they would focus on specifically on some of the biggest battles in antiquity, like the Carthage versus Rome, Alexander the Great, and all that, certain fights, and they would do
Gaugamela.
Yeah, they would do recreations, but they would do them in a 300 style, and it was so stupid because they would. First of all, when they did the Hannibal one, when Hannibal attacked the Second Punic War, they had they took an actor that fucking looks like Idris Elba, so they went with the whole Hannibal was a fucking sub-Saharan African guy, right? And then,
not a Northern African, right? Yeah.
Right, and then when they would show the fights, they would show them like 300. The same graphics, sort of like comic book.
I know what you're talking about. BD. I thought that shit was cool.
I thought it was cool too, but it was stupid, man. Because they would show the guy
cheesy, right? It's like campy.
Yeah, exactly. They would show Hannibal with two swords fighting individual people, like in the battlefield, like rah, 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 and then at the end he would chop their heads off with the whole, like he would slice a guy down.
He would execute them, right? He would drop them to their knees, get the both swords on their necks.
Exactly, like very theatrical. He would drop it to his knees, and then he would chop their heads off with two swords, and then he would scream, "Ah!" It's like, come on!
Slow motion screaming, shaking, and shit.
He was
coming out his mouth.
He was so stupid. I don't know who came. That had to have been a producer, an executive.
Over at History. We need more of that, BDA.
You know what? They should do that for boxing, man. They should do that for boxing. Just turn it into an anime. What's the name of that cartoon that everybody talks about? The Japanese cartoon, Huppo Nije or
Hajime no Ippo or something. The boxing one?
Yeah, that one. I think it's been around for like 30 years or something. They should just do recreation. When they do documentaries of boxing fights, just recreate them using anime, and that's it. You'll get the Zoomers in.
Yeah,
and all the youngins.
Right.
But what we're talking
that's how they can get Inouye fans.
There you go.
Get
Yeah.
him.
By the way, I keep forgetting Taraji already lost. I was gonna bring up Taraji too, but yeah, Taraji lost his last fight. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah,
He lost
back
to
to
Mexican, didn't he?
yeah, a Christian Mexican, by the way, hardcore Mexican Christian,
Word.
but or Mexican American, I think. But anyway, the point is,
Word.
Oshaki Foster. You said he's too conservative in there. I've described them as Shakur Stevenson light because he'll do the same step back that Shakur Stevenson does. You know, where he leaps back instead of just
Yep.
standing your ground to counter. He'll just leap back all the way to the ropes. He's already taken losses. You know that Conceição fight. By the way, I still think Conceição could have given him the decision in the second one as well in the rematch. And
Yep.
Supernova, the last guy that Raymond Ford fought, he took Oshaki Foster to a split decision. So evidently, what Oshaki Foster does in there, the judges don't like. They like it from Shakur Stevenson because he's the A side in a lot of those fights. But Oshaki Foster doesn't have the same what shall I say, privilege as Shakur
He
Stevenson.
doesn't have the he doesn't have that smile that can light up a room, you know?
Yeah, the gap tooth smile that can light up a basement. But you know what? Yeah, you're right, man.
Look, look, BDA pattern recognition. Bradley, Crawford, Stevenson, who else? They all got that gap.
That's a good point. What's that about? What do you think that's about?
I don't know, bro. They must be like some kind of experiment. It might be a sign how they can tell them, like, oh, we got to look out for these guys.
Maybe
Yeah,
like in nature. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, maybe Sugar Ray Leonard had it too, by the way, and then he fixed it.
Yep.
Sometimes in the mid '80s, he fixed it. Like people were like, "Hey, where'd that gap go?" He had it fixed.
You're like, what gap?
Yeah, he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. It's like what happened with him and that dude that that jerked him off. Remember that? He's like, I think he's already trying to forget about that. Why would he put that in his?
Yeah, it's like-
Why would he put that in his
Yeah,
biography though? I don't get it.
I don't know, right? Because I'm sure that guy, whatever that dude who did it, was like long dead. You know what I mean? He just decided to tell everybody. He's like, he was in my pants, and after the most awkward 10-minute BJ of my life, I ran out of there fast as I could. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know why you would tell everybody that. But.
I ran as fast as I could and I started shadow boxing. He's like, come on. Yeah.
He jumped out the car and started shadowboxing.
He should have popped that guy in the chin, man. Listen, if a guy comes up to me and goes, hey, can I give you a hand job? I'd be like, the only hands you're going to see are going to be coming at your nose, your mouth, your liver. That's all you're going to see, motherfucker. Mr. BDA don't play that.
Exactly.
Mr. BDA doesn't get into those type of hijinks. Now, listen, I wanted to say something real quick, pivoting to another subject. Who said it? Hold on, let me just back up here. Okay, yeah. Johnny7600 in the chat says, Timothy Pillow Hands Bradley said, Crawford is Mayweather, he's Ali, he's Sugar Ray Robinson. What do you think about that?
Didn't he take my fucking speech? I feel like he took my fucking speech. You hear me, Bradley? Stop taking my shit, right? I made that shit. I said that shit here. He's a great black hope, right? But I said it much better, right? He's Charles Burley. He's Ezra Charles. He's fucking, he's George Benton. You know what I mean? He's Archie Moore. He's all of them, bro. He's all of them mixed into one. He's Sugar Ray Robinson. He's all of them, bro. He's all of them mixed into one, dude. He's the ultimate fighter. And that exactly how I was saying on here, that's how they look at him. I told you, BJ, they want the embodiment of that, all that, because it's all gone. They're looking for someone to bring them out of the gutter, dude. And just like Manny Pacquiao brought the Philippines in boxing, that's what they're feeling right now, these Americans.
That's true.
If it wasn't true, bro, they wouldn't be talking up Crawford like they are.
And that's why they've been trying to prop up Shakur Stevenson for years now, but he's not that dude, man. They were thinking he was going to be some sort of like a Roy Jones type guy. That, I mean, it's been 2 fights now where people were expecting him to get the stoppage against Hartunonian. Then they expected him to put belt to ass and stop Opetaia, and he couldn't even come close to. The only guy who ended up getting hurt in both those fights was Shakur Stevenson, visibly hurt. So Shakur Stevenson is good. Don't get me wrong; he's very slippery in there. But the people that thought that he was going to be the next big star and the next big dominant force, he's just slippery. That's it. He's not going to be putting belt to ass anytime soon on anybody. So now they got Crawford.
Same thing with Devin Haney.
Yeah, Boots Ennis is a guy that could be. He is entertaining, so they could market him very well if they pull things off very well, correctly. But even then, people sort of already turned on him a little bit because he had the temerity to spar with what's his name,
Sleeping with the enemy.
Canelo. Yeah, and that's the other thing though is I I don't understand why people had a big, we mentioned that in the last show, why people had problem with that, and I saw some people now saying, "Oh man, Boots Ennis, all right, you ended up sparring Canelo. Now when you fight Virgil Ortiz, watch how the Mexicans come at you." And I'm thinking, wait a minute, so these people just revealed and divulged that they really do care about what people say. That's how they react in real life. They look at comments on the internet and it gets to them. Because why would Boots Ennis care if the Mexicans root for him or not? I don't think Boots Ennis cares all that much I mean, I think he cares about getting the win and making money. But I don't think he's terribly invested in whether I don't think he went into the Canelo camp to spar with Canelo thinking, "Ooh, the Mexicans are going to be on my side." The only people who care about that are the people who keep bringing that up. Like, the Mexicans are going to turn on you. Who gives a shit? The Mexicans, yeah, okay, the Mexicans, most Mexicans don't root for Boots Ennis. Is that a surprise? Why would he care if they are or not?
Yeah, especially against Virgil Ortiz. Yeah, yeah. So what?
Yeah, it's the people that. It just goes to show you they're the ones that care.
I think that trying to get the experience with someone world class like Canelo would actually help him get a win against someone like Virgil Ortiz. So maybe they'd be happy that he's doing that. He's kind of prepping himself in a way. Maybe they should look at it at that angle instead of saying like, why helping the Mexican man? Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's helping himself.
And I did see a lot of YouTubers then all of a sudden go, I think they realized, man, this is a bad look for the community. So they started saying like, oh, there's nothing wrong with it. I saw some people, they made a good argument, which led me to believe, okay, these people are on the right side. These people know what's up. But then I also saw some people that were just trying to poo-poo it away. Like, no, don't talk about the code and all that, because they realized, man, this is a bad look. But like I said, a lot of the people that are
don't talk about the code.
Yeah, that's what they were saying. The people that were worried about how Boots is going to be
the
treated
brothers code.
Yeah, the street code. Now listen, when people say that, hey, Boots, you're going to see they're going to turn on you, that lets me know, okay, comments get to you. Comments get to you. So now you can expect people trolling you because you just let it be known. Look at us here over at BDA Boxing. You can troll all you want. You can tell us whatever you want. You can call us in. We open up the phone lines. We open up the Discord. It's freedom of speech. I'm not saying that I'm immune to criticism or to trolling. Sometimes it does get annoying, but at the same time, it's to the point where you're so worried about what people are going to say, and you're seeing it in this Crawford-Canelo fight. Oh man, what are the excuses going to be? I can't wait for the excuses. Who gives a shit what people say? It's a boxing fight. People hold their picks and their records to way too high regard. It seems like they don't have much going for them in real life, and making a correct pick in boxing, that seems to be the big deal. Also, I want to bring up something here that Butcher just posted as it pertains to Crawford Canelo. This is from their official Ring magazine.
Man, dude. I feel prophetic right now, dude.
This is from the official Ring magazine, Turkey Al-Sheikh owned Ring magazine account. Look at this.
Look at that, dude. They're trying to invoke the past, right?
It seems like it, right? They're summoning something here. This is Terence Crawford next to Sugar Ray Leonard and Canelo next to Marvin Hagler. For people that don't know, the context here is that Sugar Ray Leonard moved up in weight to fight the long-reigning middleweight champion and the so-called bigger guy in Hagler, and Leonard ended up skating by with a controversial, to this day, controversial split decision win. So do they want the smaller guy to win? All the people that are saying that, man, Canelo, he's got the judges in the pocket, I'm telling you, and we've been trying to tell you, not so. Turkey Al-Sheikh is really pushing for Crawford. And the media, too, they want Crawford to win because it's a bigger story. If Canelo wins, oh, he was too big. But if Crawford wins, oh, it's like I said, big American success journey. That's what it is. Big American success journey. That's what they want. That's what they can sell. They can sell magazines. They can get views on YouTube.
The American dream.
The American dream. Sobers, what do you think? Is this fight on the level, or does the Sheik and possibly the judges? But let's not forget, real quick, the announcers, Max Kellerman, who really loves a certain type of fighter, and Andre Ward, who hates Canelo, or at least thinks lowly of him. In fact, he's already been in camp against Canelo, training Caleb Plant. So, and Max Kellerman goes with anything Andre Ward says because he really likes Andre Ward, if you know what I'm talking about. So, Sobers, is it too far-fetched to say that the system is against Canelo in this one?
Yeah, bro. You can see the gears moving. Everything's locking in place. You know what I mean? When they announced the commentary team, because you know for sure, like, so okay, say us watching the fight, everyone listening to the show, you guys know what you guys are watching for the most part, right? You know, you don't need Max Kellerman to tell you the story of the fight for you to figure
Hmm.
out what's going on. But for a lot of people on Netflix who will just be casuals, you can be damn. They got the most their best wordsmiths, right, to glaze on Crawford right here.
Hmm.
You know that Andre Ward and Kellerman are going to be bouncing off each other, you know, and gargling off of you know, what's his name, Crawford's balls this whole fight. So that's definitely on purpose, bro. And I mean, we'll see what happens on the cards. But yeah, I don't expect any of that's going to be necessary. I expect a knockout. So yeah, Canelo. I hope he knows. I mean, he said it. He's let it be known that he knows that he's not the favorite in this. That you know Turkey wants Crawford to win. So him saying that out loud, it lets me know that he's gonna go in there and handle business. He has to knock him out. And you got to put a stamp on it, bro.
This is
Because
gonna be
they
the
are gonna try their best to sway even if Canelo were to win a decision, they're gonna be like, oh man, you know Crawford and I mean not Crawford, but Ward and Keller, and be like, oh wow, really, really, you know what I'm saying? Like they're gonna be there to make it seem the other way, like it was a robbery or something.
Kellerman and Ward are gonna be savoring every nut that Crawford gives them. Every one.
Oh, you gonna put the nuts in your mouth too? That's double bonus money.
They're gonna gorgle.
They're gonna be
They're
like,
gonna.
what's his name? Bang, bang, bang.
Oh,
Here's another one.
like Jim
Bang.
Lampley. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I don't know what was his brain snapped in that one. I don't know what was going on with him. I think later on he said that he did that for the Pacquiao Claudio fight. I think he later on he went to say that the reason why he did that was because Claudio wasn't throwing punches, and he was hoping that Claudio would hear him and start letting his hands go. Which I mean I don't know. I just think his brain snapped and it's like
It's
going bang
okay.
bang.
So since we're on that, do you think he threw that fight?
Claudio, no,
Yeah.
no, I don't think so because
Okay.
okay, listen, when he let his hands go, he was catching Pacquiao, right?
Yep.
But I think he felt Pacquiao's power. And also, it
Yep.
wasn't uncharacteristic of Claudio. Claudio would sometimes fight too reserved. When he fought Antonio Margarito, he was catching Margarito early with flush shots. The Showtime commentators were very impressed. Then Margarito started turning it on. That was a prime Margarito. He could throw. He started throwing 100. I think there was a round where Margarito threw 120 shots. He just flooded Claudio with offense. So Claudio remained covered up because there were so many shots coming in. He couldn't
Okay.
counter all of them. So he just, and then later after the fight, he said, "Oh, I hurt both my hands," which I don't. And then when he fought Cotto, similar thing. He would catch Cotto with
That was
flush
a close
shots,
fight.
and you're thinking, "Oh man, if this guy turned it up," and he didn't. So it wasn't uncharacteristic of him to
He was
fight the way
lazy?
he did against Pacquiao.
Call him
But
lazy, video.
was that?
You call him lazy?
Yeah, a little bit, a little bit. I think that's what he. Yeah.
No, okay, but yeah, Claudio, he had a really good high guard.
Yeah, very good. Very difficult to penetrate, and kind of like Canelo. Not the same exactly,
Yeah.
but a good guard will give a lot of people problems. And the thing about it is, Shakur Stevenson said that high guard ain't gonna work against Terrence, against Bud. And I'm thinking it's not just a high guard. It's not like Brandon Rios who just puts the gloves up and takes everything on the gloves. He'll actually deflect shots. It's a dynamic guard. He deflects shots at the same time. He parries, incorporates a little head movement, and then when you least expect it, he'll step back and deflect and make you miss. So it's not like he's just absorbing everything on the guard. You want to see a bad guard? Look at Gervonta Davis versus Frank Martin. He tried to fight like Canelo in there, but you could tell he wasn't accustomed to it. He was just catching everything flush on the gloves. That's why his face was all marked up because he wasn't deflecting
Yeah.
properly.
Right, because he was just knocking the gloves. He was just getting raked by his own glove, basically.
Exactly. A similar thing happened to Virgil Ortiz, by the way, when he fought Madrimov. I mean, I know there were headbutts involved in that one too, but that's why he was so marked up against Madrimov because he was walking down a big puncher, and Ortiz still hasn't. I mean, he blocked a lot of them, but what I'm saying is he still hasn't perfected that guard to the point where he can get it to a Canelo Alvarez type guard. Lomachenko also too had a very good dynamic guard, and who else has a good dynamic guard? David Benavidez. He uses his gloves very well to
Yeah.
pick shots off. That's why Benavidez is very good at transitioning between punches and then boom, bring that guard right back up. That's what makes him difficult. At 175, it's not the power anymore because he's not really a big puncher at light heavyweight. But it's that transition between offense to defense that's what's going to make him very difficult to beat.
Correct.
But hey, speaking of
And hand speed.
yeah, the hand speed too. Yeah, speaking of Virgil Ortiz, Eddie Hearn's expecting Jaron Ennis and Ortiz to happen in February. So that
Is
they're
he?
really pushing for that. The Sheik is working with them. They're working with the Sheik. They're really trying to get it. Ennis is going to be fighting this dude that everybody's deriding. I haven't even saw him fight yet, so I got to take a closer look at who this guy is. You never know. Maybe he could come up with an upset the way that guy who upset Ioannis Tellez did last Saturday. And Ortiz, by the way, has to fight, what's his name? Lubin, who's not an easy fighter by any stretch of the imagination either. So we'll see what happens. But that's one fight that they are working on.
I hope so.
Yeah, man,
Fighting's happened already.
that should be a good one. That I'm looking forward to the Lubin Ortiz one. I wasn't really looking forward to Zayas versus Ortiz because I think Zayas is still too green. Even though he's got a belt, like I said, almost anybody nowadays can get a belt. It's not the best mark of where a fighter is at in his career, skills wise or talent wise. What else was I going to say about that? So yeah, I'd rather see Ortiz versus Ennis in the future, especially early next year. Okay, here's something that makes no sense to me. Martin Bakoli, for years now, has claimed that he got the best out of Usyk in sparring, and he came out and said it again, repeated it, but even doubled down now. He said, according to Bakoli, the two of them threw their gear on and sparred on several occasions in the past. While the 33-year-old is aware that sparring is sparring, he's adamant that it was one-way traffic. This is what Bakoli had to say. Usyk knows himself, Bakoli said. Every time I go in there to spar him, I always give him trouble. Ask his team. He knows. He was bleeding everywhere. So now Bakoli is he's not only saying he got the best out of Usyk, and I think at some point he said that he dropped Usyk with a body shot. I forget. And then he goes, he knows that I can stop him easily. Easily. This is the guy that went in there fat like a lard ass against a Jagba, was lucky to get a gift draw. He got stopped by Michael Hunter not that long ago. But he thinks that if he just steps in that ring, he can stop him. I'm pretty sure he probably thought the same thing against Joseph Parker. That's why he took the fight at, 5 days notice, got off the couch, even fatter than usual, and ended him getting stopped. Sobers, what do you think? Do you think Bakoli has a style to beat Usyk, or do you think he's exaggerating a little bit here?
I think he's exaggerating. He's kind of a fat ass. He's still high off that win of Jared Anderson.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I think because I think everyone was high off him off that win, right?
Right.
But
right.
he's kind of like subpar after that, you know? So, he's trying to parlay, you know what I mean? Like how he looked against that. Like it's still fresh in everybody's mind. And, the little rumors of the sparring stories. Like, come on with the sparring shit, you know?
Yeah, sparring is sparring. I mean, I'm pretty sure he must have gotten the best out of Usyk at some point because he's such a big dude. And
yeah,
I do think,
especially, I mean, it don't happen. It's like they don't spar one time, right?
exactly. And I do think he has the way he looked against Jared Anderson. Yeah, I think Bakoli would give Usyk trouble. Just to clarify, the way Bakoli looked against Anderson, because he's got deceptively quick hands. But the way he's looked lately, he reminds me of another dude that I wanted to bring up earlier, Andy Luis. Andy Luis is back with Manny Robles, and Andy Luis apparently saying that, Luis is saying I'm back to my, like I'm hungry, which looks like he's always hungry, by the way. But he says he's hungry to revitalize his career. And then they asked Manny Robles, like, hey, listen, this dude's already lacked motivation before. How are you going to get that back? And Manny Robles is like, oh, no, he knows now. He knows. And I'm thinking, come on. I don't have any confidence in Andy Luis. He got a shot. The Sheik gives him a shot, and he shows up like shit against Big Baby Miller. Now, I know he later on said, oh, my hands hurt. I had an ouchie. I don't know if I buy that. And I like how Andy Luis has the goal to just say, yeah, I'm thinking of calling up the Sheik and being on one of his cards. Like he can just call up the Sheik and the Sheik's going to be like, yeah, sure, Andy Luis, man. Let me I've been waiting for your call. This dude is entitled. That way he's fat. Because he feels like he's entitled to just indulge in everything he wants. And one of those things is food. He'll just gorge himself in food. So Andy Luiz and Bacoli are sort of cut from the same cloth. Because Bacoli ended up getting the best win of his career against Anderson. And let's not forget, he'd also upset Tony Yoka before, a gold medalist from France. You would think, hey, man, keep up the momentum. No, he gets knocked out by Joseph Parker, and he shows up fat, even though he had a good he had time to train against Ajagba. And now he's sitting around telling stories around the campfire about how he had Usyk bleeding all over the place and how he can beat him easily. I mean, I don't know, man. It's show us in the ring. That's where it matters. Show us in the professional ring. All these others talk about, I got the best out of him in the gym. I ran more than him. I did more rounds on the bag. I beat him in the sauna. I mean, come on. As long as he didn't beat him off in the sauna, then there's not that much of a problem. But
I finished him in the sauna. Wait, what?
I outgunned him in the sauna. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Nobody outguns. Let me tell you something. Nobody outguns BDA. That's number one. Number two, Bacoli really has some goal to be talking about all of this. But I wanted to bring something up to you fellas here. Well, actually, real quick, let me just see what Manny Robles had to say about Luis. Hold on a second. Give me 2 seconds here, because I'm interested. I sort of paraphrased what he said, but I don't think I really got it there. So yeah, it's now or never, says Andy Luiz, as it pertains to his career. And then Robles had this to say. When asked how he'll be able to motivate someone who has already reached the sport's pinnacle, he didn't seem worried. Robles said, that's exactly what I'm going to try to do, to give him a push. All right, first of all, how are you going to push a guy that big? That's number one. I'll set my grounds as I do with everyone. Let him know exactly that. No excuses. He doesn't want to waste his time, and neither do I. I've got to get him to work back in the ring as soon. Okay, so it's just a bunch of frivolities in there. It's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna motivate him. I'm gonna get him back to where he should have been. And blah blah blah. It's like,
Pedal to the metal.
yeah, you couldn't do that the first time. You couldn't do it for the Joshua rematch, and then he dumped your ass for Reynoso. Now he's back with you again. This type of indecisiveness too is indicative of a guy who's just not all there in his career. He lacks consistency, and him over relying on trainers. Oh, I want to go with Robles. Then I want to go with this guy. Then I want to go. I don't have high regard. I don't have high hopes for Andy Luiz. I really don't.
Yeah, it seems like he's kind of past it. Kind of when he had the time to harness, his abilities and the fame he had. That's just dead and gone. You know what I mean? Like they try to bring him back. He couldn't even beat Jarrell Miller, although he did have a pretty bad hand injury, right? He showed it off in the ring. I remember that. He shows all swollen and looked fucked up, but. You know what I mean? That's kind of irrelevant. You know what I mean? When you look at the fight, people don't care about that shit, right? Only
Exactly.
Gervonta Davis fans care about that shit. He hurt his hand, that don't mean shit. The fight happened the way it went. And,
But what do you think
they look
about
good.
that? About these guys like Bacoli and Luis, that they get their big win. And by the way, at least Luis ended up beating the heavyweight titleist. Bacoli, Bacoli just beat an undefeated prospect. And now he's already resting on his laurels. What do you think about those guys? They get their best win, and then all of a sudden, they just go haywire.
I mean, maybe they didn't have money like that before, and it really took them to the next level. And you can already tell they're kind of fat asses. I just look at the way they're built, right? They're kind of already lazy. You gave them a reason to be lazy. They can still fight, but they're already fat in the fighting, so they're like, yeah, I can be a little bit fatter. Why not?
Well, speaking
I got it. You know what I'm saying? He got they both got their big win. They're like, you know what I mean? I can get it again. I got it last time,
No, yeah, you're right about that. I mean, I guess we'll see, man. I guess we'll see with Andy Luiz. Again, I don't have high hopes for him. So if he shows up fat, out of shape, it's a boring fight. I wouldn't be surprised, and I'm not going to be too disappointed or angry. I just hope they don't put him on any top undercard. Put him somewhere, give him a couple of fights to see if he really gets himself in shape, and then he should deserve a chance at being on an undercard. Real quick, before we go, because we're almost done here, I want to bring something up to you guys because you weren't here when I talked about it. Naji from Cigar Talk just recently, or I think today, is about to drop an episode he did with Ryan Garcia. Now, the long story short of it is, Naji, the Cigar Talk guy, confronted Teofimo Lopez, I think earlier this year or last year, for some comments Teofimo Lopez had made in regards to Afro Anglos. But now he posted a clip of him, so Najee of him like yucking it up with Ryan Garcia because he did an interview with Garcia, and people started going at him, calling him a raccoon. If you know what I'm talking about, raccoon. They started saying he ain't about that. He's a hypocrite. Why would you sit down with that racist? Blah blah blah. And then people found out he's not really Afro-Anglo. He's Nigerian, which I think technically that means he's Afro-Anglo because they speak English, right? So I think I'd have to ask Foka about that. But anyway, the point is, people started then calling him a sellout. They started saying that look at his face. He looks like he's on that lean all the time. Maybe that's why his judgment's impaired. Well, what do you mean? Yeah, you agree with that?
Well, yeah, he does look. He always has that goofy ass look on his face. You know what I mean? That's why I remember looking at it. I was like, "Who the fuck?" I was like, "Who the fuck agreed to talk to this like half eyelid, slit closed, halfway looking like a lizard motherfucker?"
Ah, come on, man.
And so I started scrolling through his channel, right? And he's like a hip hop nerd. He used to try to interview rappers or whatever, and then out of nowhere, he just started interviewing boxers. And he just got like the biggest connections. He can just get, Bob Arum on his show like that. He's an industry plant, right? And the jig is up. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, you're saying
And
wait.
these guys try to play both sides with this, like like they try to be like that activist, like yeah, I'm about that. I look out for the culture, whatever. And now I'm gonna press this guy Teofimo because it's convenient at the time, or I don't even know what he did to quote unquote press him, right? And but you know what I'm saying, just to ask him about some shit he said. But then yeah, they'll go to Ryan, and because it's convenient, he's a bigger star or whatever, he's gonna get good views, he's gonna kiss his ass.
When you said he's a hip hop head, is he one of those annoying guys that if he asks you about hip hop and you don't know shit about it, he gets annoyed? Like,
yeah, he's like, you don't know the 5 elements of hip hop.
Yeah,
let me break it down.
You don't know. Yo, check your history. You need to learn your hip hop history. Like, do I really need to?
Beatboxing and shit.
Yeah. You don't know about Jimmy Slim, 1979, the original rapper. He put two turntables together and he invented rap. It's like, all right, what are we doing here? Do I really need to listen to this?
Worse. There's all kinds of nerds, right? BDA, there's the anime nerds, the Dungeons and Dragon nerds, the fucking car nerds. You know what I mean? There's nothing worse than a fucking hip hop nerd. That's so cringe, bro.
Yeah, man. I mean, you
don't know Fat Lip Joe and the Boys? They're the first rappers in 1971. Like,
remember Yellow Slim? He's the one. He's the first guy that started sampling farts into his songs. Like, well, I don't need to hear this, man. I really don't. I don't care, man. I don't know who's the first guy who sampled porn. I mean, come on, get out of here.
Right? Yeah. You hear that whoop?
Yeah, you hear the whoop?
He's the first guy to ever do that in his song. Like, shut the fuck up.
Hey, but listen, the reason why I brought up Najee is because. Look, there's a market for what he does. A lot of people like watching interviews with boxers, even though they don't have much interesting to say or much of interest. They still love it. But here's the thing, though. Devin Haney didn't take too kindly to this dude interviewing Ryan Garcia, giving him a platform. So Devin Haney ended up calling Najee a sellout, and then Najee said, "You must, the left hook still must have you reeling because I am not a sellout. I am the realist." He said, "Left hook must still have you not seeing straight because I'm the realest interviewer in the game. Your feelings are misguided, young man. Tighten up and make sure you focus on Brian Norman. Tough fight ahead." And then, real quick, finally, Haney ended up saying, "You proved my point, bitch. It's about time N-words like you start getting the shit slapped out of them. N-word, you can't fight a lick and talking about the left hook." And then he put a crying emoji, like laughing. What do you think about that, Sobers? Haney calling somebody, accusing somebody else of not being able to fight.
I think Devin Haney would whoop Najee's ass. And it's funny, right? Because, like I was talking about convenience, whatever, ass kicking when it's convenient. Ass kissing, I mean. There's a tweet of him saying, what's up, champ? We got great views last time. We need to do another interview, and Gervonta Davis told him on Twitter, like, shut your dick sucking ass up, bitch, or something like that. And he didn't respond with no, you still must be dizzy, your hand still must hurt off of that fight with Pitbull Cruz or Roach or whatever. He didn't bring up any of that.
Mm-hmm.
So it is funny how he tried to buck up to Haney and try to be like, oh, you must still be dizzy. Like, calm down, little dude.
Yeah, he didn't say like your ass must still be hurting from that prison stint you did or something like that. He could have done. He could have gone to that.
Exactly.
You're right. He didn't do that. And look, listen. I don't know Najee. I don't watch his show. I really don't have anything against the guy, even though I was kind of annoyed the way he tried to go at Teofimo Lopez. That seemed like a bit of a PR grab to me. Like, hey, you see, I'm standing up to him. I'm letting it be known that shit ain't allowed. But even though he didn't really, he just asked him, "Why'd you say that? You know what you said." And that's the thing, though. When Teofimo Lopez goes, "What did I say? Or what did I do?" and the guy just looks at him and goes, "You know what you said. You know what you said." It's like, no, I don't know. Why didn't you tell me? And he couldn't do that. So anyway,
See, you look, and that's him not even trying to. I didn't even see that what you're talking about, BDA, and that's what he told him. Like, come on, bro. It's like you don't even want to. You're like half-assing it. You want to talk about it, but you don't. You don't want to get specific. You want him to an admission of guilt from this dude without him even knowing what you're talking about.
all right, by the way, hold on, excuse me. Johnny Blaze in the chat says, I've seen his show one time. He's a drunk. Ah, come on. No. See, we're going to.
No, yeah, so that's why he looks half asleep and shit. He got that weird, crazy,
come on, man.
lit eye.
Come on, man. Are you saying he's the opposite of Showbiz? Whereas Showbiz always opens up those eyes and he's always looking animated. This dude's the opposite. He's got eyes half closed.
Exactly.
Huh.
So like Showbiz is like the chameleon, right, with the crazy eyes that go everywhere. And this dude's more like the like a lazy, like what is it, like the bison, the cows, where you know the flies just fly in their eyeballs and they don't react. You know what I mean?
So you're saying that,
like that, or like a crocodile in the water.
All right, so we got Showbiz who's always showing his eyes. So Naji's what, Hidebiz? We're gonna start calling him Hidebiz. Get it? Hide show. All right, listen. Come on. You didn't have to give me the pity laugh. What are you doing? Listen, the point is this. I think the way Naji, I do think he's one of the. Okay, here's the point I made earlier. So we're saying, you tell me what you think. That guy, the clip that Naji posted as a preview for the Ryan Garcia interview, he posted a clip of them laughing it up, yucking it up, and I think he knew exactly what he was doing. Because why didn't he? Because people came at him and they said, "Hey, why are you having a racist on your show? Why are you having a racist?" And he said, "It's all explained in the video. I called him out on it in the video." I'm thinking, why didn't he put a snippet of that as the preview? Because then people would have said, "Oh shit, he's pressing Ryan Garcia about it. Let me go watch it. This guy's not a sellout." Instead, he puts a video of them yucking it up. Do you think he knew that was going to get more of a reaction out of people? Like, why, you know, why you yucking it up with Garcia? Why are you partying down with him? Why are you laughing with him?
Maybe I could say yes and no, right? Because then why would he? Because exactly like you said, if he led with the confrontation little part right there, don't you think that would have been more? That have gotten more positive of a positive reaction, more eyes on it, because like okay, he's already promising a conflict instead of just saying you know we're best friends. Why would you try to get your own fans mad?
But that's the thing, though. I think that's why I'm saying maybe he's a little bit just like in that Ellie Sackback stratosphere of he doesn't care about how he comes across as long as he gets the views. And because he probably could have gotten a lot of views either way just by putting that clip of him confronting Ryan Garcia and saying, hey, listen, he would have been able to preserve that image of him being down for the culture and at the same time getting the views. But here he went the extra mile by putting a clip of him yucking it up with Garcia, which he must have known he must have known people, unless maybe he really is inebriated, like people are saying, which I'm not saying that, by the way, but other people are saying, maybe he is a bad judgment call. Maybe he drank too much or something. I don't know. Maybe he didn't sleep enough. But he could have, by putting a clip of him laughing with Ryan Garcia, he must have known that people were going to criticize him a lot for that. So I'm sitting here wondering, what's his angle? If there is indeed an angle at all. So I don't know, man. I guess we'll see. Whatever it is, it's working because I'm talking about it and people are going to sit down and watch the show, see what Naji tells Ryan Garcia as it pertains to that racial tirade that Garcia went on. So if that's all he cares about, I think, hey, mission accomplished. You're going to get your views. But now he's on the same stratosphere too as Showbiz. And Showbiz, again, I don't understand why people call him a coon, a sellout, an Uncle Tom, a house N-word. He seems to be, if anything, the one thing you could criticize him is, okay, yeah, maybe he spends too much time on the fence. But other than that, I don't really see this whole racial aspect that people accuse him of. That's my thing on that. What are people saying in the chat? RGM Horseface guy says, Johnny Boy got a lazy butthole in the pen. Ah, come on. And he says, Showbiz is pretty good. Phil says, has anyone seen my Coke bottle? Okay, what this guy's son about. Mr. Palavaca says, Showbiz should be zoo attraction. Come on. See, it's a morning show. And whether we do a show in the morning, night, evening, people are awful no matter what, man. You guys are vicious in the chat. How dare you? But go ahead, Sobers. What were you going to say?
So with Showbiz, why they call him that was because he was a big Ryan Garcia fan, and he still was kind of like hyping him up after, his little crash out when he was, I guess blackout drunk and cussing everybody out. So it got so bad for him to the point where he had to do one of those goofy YouTube apology videos.
What? Really?
Yeah, where where they have the back to the camera, the lights are dim, they're in like a little rolling chair, they spin around, they're looking deep into the camera, they're like, hey guys, some things have happened lately, we got to talk. And that's how the video starts. And then they just try to, kiss their audience's asses. They try to, they're like, oh, I did this one thing, but I'm not going to do it anymore. It's all for different reasons, right? But he had to apologize, I guess, to all his fans for supporting Ryan Garcia and kissing his ass. You know what I mean? And then because he ended up, I guess doing that racist shit or whatever. And, everybody hated him after that, right? So if you're supporting him, you're not part of the culture.
That's but isn't it funny how there's a lot of people that support Devin Haney, but he was just as racist as Ryan Garcia. And I say that because
but that's he's not racist against black folks. So
exactly. So as long as it's happened to here on this show where I'm making fun of my own ethnicity, Mexicans, and then I'll make fun of white guys or this and that, and there's people laughing in the chat. As soon as I make a joke about Afro Anglos, they pop up in the chat.
Hey, whoa,
yeah.
Hey, what's going on, bro?
So you're okay with us making fun of other people, but then when it's you, now it's a problem. Come on, it should be everybody. Come on. And that's the other thing, though, is Devin Haney, what he said about white people, he said, I would never let a white boy beat me, meaning it would be a sacrilege for him to lose to white people. Why? Because white people are inferior to them. That's what he was saying. That's a racist mentality right there. When people say racism, this guy's racist. You can be a guy who's not racist. You can help a whole bunch of people, give them charity and all that. But if you say one word, now you're a racist. To me, racism is not whether you said a bad word or not. It's whether you really believe you're superior to another race or all other races. That's racism right there. And that's what Devin Haney feels. He feels that he's superior to white people. That's racism right there. Ryan Garcia saying a couple of things while he's drunk or high or whatever. It's bad. It's insulting. It's offensive. I'm not going to sit here and tell people they can't be offended by that. But I don't look at that and go, oh, yeah, absolutely, he's a racist. Nah, words are words. A mentality and a belief, that's something else. That's something that's forged. That's something that's solid within a person's character.
Word.
And that, hey, I was starting to rap there a little bit. I was going a cappella. Learn your hip hop history, people, like Najee used to say. But what else was I gonna say? Yeah, that's all I got here for today's show. We're getting closer to the Canelo-Crawford fight. This Saturday we're gonna be.
Cool.
This Saturday we're gonna be 2 weeks away. 2 weeks away. And Sobers, think about it this way: next Wednesday, midweek, you're gonna be able to look forward and go, next week is fight week. That's how close we are to the fight. That's how close to it. Can you feel it, Sobers? Can you feel the electricity?
Yeah, it's building.
It's building. What's going to happen? That's what I'm curious about. And I was telling Butcher this the other days. All this hype.
You can feel it in the air, BDA. You can feel the season changing. There's something different. You know what I mean? The time of the great harvest is coming. It's going to be the marking of a new Kalpa. You know what I mean? We're going to be in a whole new age. And yeah, the age of the orc is over. The time for man has begun.
So there you go.
So yeah, bro. Yeah, I've been trying not to talk too much about it or whatever, because I know there's been a lot of hype about it, but it's been like 6 months. Like, this fight was announced a long time ago. But yeah, now's the time where it's about time to start hyping it up, and it's time to start talking about it. And it's funny too, right? Because we were talking about it yesterday on the Discord. I think Dirk was there, right? Mm-hmm. And he was saying that basically he got a direct line to to Rick Glazer, right? And he was saying that you see these photos of Canelo and Boots sparring and stuff like that. That he's like, yeah, he basically said that he could confirm that Boots was beating him up and they sent him home early, right? So he's like, oh, so Canelo's like losing it and it's a bad sign, and just get ready for it, guys. And But like you just said, like it's 2 weeks away from the fight, right? Isn't it around this time where they'll stop winding down on sparring? You know what I mean? Like it's time to get ready for the fight for real. But
Well, that's the
you know,
thing is
like whatever.
like what first, hold on. First of all, Rick Glacier said he can confirm that Boots Ennis beat up Canelo in sparring.
Yep, because he said they talk to people who knows, and he also said that what's his name? One of these other guys on YouTube, Greg Hackett, right? But I don't know how much. But you know what I mean? Like there's all these rumors going around, dude. That's why Canelo is the king of boxing, dude. All he has to do is send out a photo, you know. Yeah, he's put out a little video of him. He doesn't even say anything. He doesn't make any statements. You know, here I'm sparring with this guy, and he just lets the world run with it. And look how much how many conspiracy theories are popping off this. You know, you had Timothy Bradley saying, "Oh, we got an undercover agent in the Canelo camp," and now you got people saying, Boots is Boots actually whooping his ass. They had to send him home early. You know, this is signs that Canelo's going to lose or whatever. So it's all kinds of speculation and conversations coming out of this. So it's good. It's good.
I'm looking for that tweet there or something that indicates Rick Glacier said that Ennis got the best of Canelo in sparring. I did he show you a tweet?
No, I thought you'd have to get Dirk. You know what I mean? Because he said that he texted him on he said he had a direct line to him, bro.
Yeah, I don't.
He said he told
I
him.
don't think. Somehow I kind of doubt that. But yeah, that's the thing though. Is
I know I do, but I don't, right? Because that guy will talk to anybody who kisses his ass.
are you throwing shots at certain someone we know? Are you throwing shots at TVS? Is that what you're saying?
No,
No,
that irrelevant motherfucker. No, dude.
All right.
I'm just saying
But,
he talks to anybody who kisses his ass.
I mean, yeah, like, I like that the Rick Glacier thing where he's on StreamYard and people are asking him questions. He's in his living room. He's looking around. Like he's too cool for the room. Like he's like he's not really paying attention to you, and he's just looking around. I'm thinking, come on, you're in your kitchen. You already know your kitchen. How is there a fly in your kitchen that you just your eyes keep rolling around like you're Ray Charles, like you're Stevie Wonder? Come on, man. So yeah, that's one thing that he does. Like he's trying to act too cool for the room, and he definitely has an ego on him because there was a clip. Where was it? Oh yeah, like I keep bringing up manager Marty. He's a guy who's been calling out. He's been on Victor Conte's ass for 2 years now. And there was a clip where manager Marty had what's his name, Rick Glacier on, and Rick Glacier was talking about how the PPC is going down, blah blah blah. And manager Marty is just asking questions, and from it just took him 3 questions to back Glacier up a little bit, just like push back. In other words, like, hey man, I don't really trust what you're saying. Can you just clarify? Rick Glacier started screaming, "Are you fucking stupid? Are you fucking stupid?" And then manager Marty just kicked him out, and said, "Oh, we not gonna do that. You ain't gonna come here screaming." It's like, why does the guy like? And then he acts all tough too. Ray Glacier sometimes. I'm thinking, man, come on, you're close to 70 years old. Why are you acting so tough on the internet, screaming at people? And I don't know. Like, he reminds me a little bit of Andrew Dice Clay. You know, he's a Jewish guy, but but he tries to act Italian American for some reason. There's like a bit of an overlap right there. But
got the tracksuits.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't wear tracksuits. He doesn't wear tracksuits. But he's like,
he doesn't?
no, he was a good source for numbers back when everyone was doing the pay-per-view model through the cable providers. But now that it's the zone and applications, I don't know if he really does have the inside scoop for the numbers anymore. So we'll see, man.
He's a dinosaur, BDA. You know what I mean? They're already trying to get away from pay-per-view, and he's over here like wanting everybody to still like listen to his imaginary numbers.
Right.
Fuck out of here, bro.
But back to the Canelo-Crawford Crawford thing, yeah. So the Boots thing. I mean, people say, "Oh, I heard Boots beat him up." First of all, what exactly does that mean? Beat him up in sparring? So does that mean he got the best of him? You never know. Maybe Canelo was just working on defense against a quicker guy, or a guy with fast hands, rather. So again, unless we see video, I don't take any of these things seriously. But again, that's the people that do. That's the people who are changing their picks to Canelo just because they saw him sparring Boots. That's how fickle some of these people are and how unsound some of their analysis is, that they just see a picture of one guy sparring another guy and that's enough for them to change it. So it makes me question why they picked Crawford in the first place at all. If just a picture of Canelo and Boots is enough to sway them to Canelo. So we're seeing a lot of bizarre occurrences here in the build-up to this fight. And
yeah, I can't wait.
Well, I was gonna say too, man. We're 2 weeks away. I'm amazed that this fight never really died down. Maybe this is the week when it's gonna die down. Maybe it'll be the first week where we got nothing to talk about in regards to Canelo-Crawford. But it really did sustain a lot of hype for about a month and a half of people just not getting tired of talking about Canelo-Crawford. I'm not tired of talking about it, but we are winding down. Like next week, we're not gonna talk about it too much because we want to really, it's like when you're training. When you're training for boxing, you want to get to the peak, and then you want to slow it down a little bit just the week before, so that way the energy builds up, and boom, you release it.
That's
on
what I'm
fight
saying,
day.
BDA. Why would they send Boots? How is Ennis like going home 2 weeks before the fight, being sent home early?
Exactly. I mean,
It's
and
time
by
to
the way,
wind down, bro. They're not gonna be doing hard sparring like 2 weeks before the fight. What if he gets cut or something stupid like that?
well, I
Like
think some of them.
what happened to Fury?
That's true. Yeah, that's true. But I do think the sparring usually it's about, if I'm correct, I think they do stop at about 2 weeks before, or 2 or 3 weeks before. Some people have even sparred on fight week, which is insane to me. But I think 2 weeks is the maximum cutoff. I think that's where they usually cut off. But Jerron Ennis getting sent home. So the beating was so severe that they sent Ennis home knowing that people were gonna hear about it. I mean, come on, it's. I don't even know what to make of that. But as it pertains to this fight, I'm really looking forward to it. Who knows what's going to happen? And I was telling Butcher this the other day, though, that we've seen so many super fights. And we've seen so many super fights that end up being, once the fight happens and it's over, it's like, all right, so on to the next one, I guess, on to the next thing. And sometimes it's a bit of a letdown because after the Canelo-Crawford fight, we don't have any other mega fight planned. I mean, we have the mega card in November, the Riyadh season one. That's going to be pretty good. And there's going to be other good fights that we're going to be looking forward to. But there's not going to be an event, unless they do one at the last minute for December or something, that's really going to capture the imagination like this one. Gons, you were going to say something?
I saw that they got on the next day.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah. They got Inoue versus MJ the next day. Yeah,
That's crazy. That's gonna be a good fight too.
that's gonna be a sensational one. Can't believe it's back to
And
back, man.
that happens to be that happens to be the next day, right?
Well, it's gonna the next
Because,
morning on the East Coast. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's insane, man. We got Canelo-Crawford, and then the day after Inoue versus MJ. That's gonna be
And that'll be like in the morning, right? That'll be like immediately following the night, like since it's in Japan.
Well, I don't know how you're gonna work it out. You're in in Southeast Asia, so for you it's gonna be what, night? The Inoue MJ one.
Well, no, never mind. Yeah.
Well, that's the other thing, though. We still haven't even figured out what time is the main card for Canelo-Crawford starting at. Is it because they say the evening, right? It's going to be before the UFC. The UFC usually it's about 10. The main card for the UFC starts at 10 p.m. Eastern time. So at what time is the whole card for the Canelo thing going to start? Nobody knows, eh? Let me check. Maybe they've
The whole
already.
what thing is gonna start?
The Netflix thing. The Canelo-Crawford fight. The main card. When does that start?
Isn't there? I don't know. Isn't there supposed to be a night of like 2 nights of undercards or some crazy shit?
That's insane, man. That's insane. Now, if I go on Google here, it says, at what time does the Canelo-Crawford start and where? It says preliminary start at 5:30 p.m. Eastern time. Available for free via Netflix, Tudum, and other official YouTube channels. Main card begins at 9 p.m. I don't believe that. I think this is just a AI-generated answer that's assuming, based off previous fights, that's how it's going to start. Because isn't the UFC card at 10 o'clock?
Say it again.
The UFC starts, there's a UFC card that day, right?
I didn't even know that. Is there?
I thought there was. I thought that was the big deal, right? That's the reason why this one was going to be earlier.
I don't know why. I don't think the boxing would accommodate the UFC.
I thought that's what they said. I thought it was going to be early. Okay, so listen, I'm on the official Netflix. I think that was all BS then, because I'm on the official Netflix site here. Check out what it says. It says main card will stream live, blah, blah, blah. Start time 9 p.m. Holy shit. Okay, so Wait a minute. How many fights are on the main card? It's about three
It's a three
fights.
card. I know it's 3 card. It's 3 fights on the main card. It's in Billy versus Brandon Adams, right? And then no, not and Billy versus who's he
The
fighting, bro? I
Martinez
forgot.
guy, or what's his name? Yeah, the Guatemalan.
Yeah, Lester Martinez. I'm sorry, Lester Martinez. And then it's Callum Walsh versus Fernando Vargas Jr. And then then it's Canelo and
Well,
Crawford,
hold
if
on.
I'm not mistaken.
Mohammed, one of the Sheik's go-to guys, Mohammed Al-Akel, is, I don't know if that's going to be in the main card. It would make sense, though, because that he wouldn't be, though. Because, look, Billy Martinez, that's 12 rounds. Walsh versus Fernando Vargas Jr., that's 10 rounds. If the fight starts at 9, even if they rush the fights, and let's say they all go the distance, that's about 2 hours right there. And usually main events in Vegas start at about 11:30 p.m. Eastern time. So I don't think they would start the main card with 3 fights. I think the main card's going to be 2 fights and then the main event. That's the way I'm figuring it.
There's an event, BDA, in
Uh-huh.
the UFC on the same day, but it's nothing major. It's not even a pay-per-view card or nothing like that. So
Okay, so I don't know where
I don't
I
think they're
heard
worried
it then. I don't know where I heard it, but I was under the impression that, that they were going to, because, Dana White's involved in all this, so that they were going to do this card was going to be earlier, that the boxing card, and then the UFC at night. But apparently they're going to be competing against each other. Or against one another, rather. Interesting. Okay, so I was actually kind of worried, man, that the fight was going to be earlier, because Bucho always likes doing the countdown shows on the same day.
right.
But even then, that's kind of fucking dangerous, man, because you do these countdown shows, and all of a sudden they try to strike you, even though you're not playing anything from the fight, and then you got to appeal, and then it's a stressful process either way. So I don't know how we're gonna work that out, but I'm more accustomed to the fights taking place at night. It makes it more exciting because you can run errands during the day. Maybe, like I said, confer with people online. Maybe drink a little bit, just a little bit, drinks a bit, and then the fights, and then the preliminaries start, and it builds up. Is what I'm saying. I know it reminds me of Woodstock '99 when you would see the event, right, and you would see all these lower level bands they're playing in the daytime, blah blah blah. And then then the sun goes out, the moon comes out, and then you got Limp Bizkit, you got fucking Korn, you got, more hardcore bands playing. It's almost like something about the night. So that's sort of what I'm trying to get at here about this fight. They're going to start out when the sun's still out, and then when the sun goes down, that's when the real fights start. So I like it better at night. What else? Oh, super chat here. Hold on a second. Shout out to Manos de Dinani. No, hey. I think I saw somebody donate. I saw the hell happened? I think it was a delay. I think it must have been a delay. I don't see another super chat here. What the fuck? But shout out to Manos de Dinamita for his contribution with the super chat from earlier, where he said he was more interested in Usyk versus Caballero. What are people in the chat saying real quick? We got to go. Who the fuck is Horseface guy? I'm a Horseface. Is that somebody we're supposed to know there, or Sobers, or what is that, man?
It says RGM Horseface guy. I'm a Horseface freak. Phil from Algeria.
Yeah, because
Says,
I got the feel from
winning.
I got the feel from Algeria playing. It's someone who's mocking a pigeon, but who's this RGM Horseface guy?
Well, that's Pigeon mocking somebody else.
And who's that supposed to be?
RGM. There's a guy, Red Glove Militant. He hangs out at the tavern. He's a cool dude.
Ah, so it's a tavern versus. Okay,
Yeah, he's cool, dude.
I remember
I'm
Red
the
Glove.
dude pretending to be pretending to be the other dude. That's what it is right now.
I remember Red Glove Military, by the way. Yeah, he used to come a couple of times. I haven't seen him in a while. J. Cole says you should go live during the Canelo-Crawford this time. You know why? We might risk it. All right. Now I see why there's so many comments in the chat. Johnny Blaze says the Turkey's nephew Mohammed, he starts off the main card. All right. Mr. Pelavaca says Sober's fucked
Did you
up.
hear
He's been
about
Yeah.
My bad. Go ahead.
Now somebody says that you fucked up. You've been looking forward to this for years and you don't even know the time. Now I don't know the time. I'm the one that fucked up the time. I don't know what he's accusing you of.
I'll know. You know what I mean? I'm not biting my nails thinking about it every day. Like, come on.
Exactly. Well, that's about
Popular
it.
to contrary belief, right? You know what I'm saying?
But so you're confident in this fight, though. You're confident in the result. You're confident in your pick.
Oh, I'm supremely confident Canelo, bro. That's why I just love listening to all these people like jumping through hoops in their head. I'm telling you, BD, I feel like prophetic, dude. I called out this fucking Great Black Hope shit, and now you got these guys. You got guys like Timothy Bradley, like basically echoing what I'm already saying, what I've already said, right? And like I said earlier too, they're gonna convince themselves. The closer the fight comes, they're gonna convince themselves that Crawford can win. Like when we used to have that dude call in with Solidus, and he'd be like, "It's a stupid fight. Crawford's dumb. Canelo's a bitch. And he's gonna whoop his ass. It's an easy fight to call." That guy, I guarantee you, he's got Crawford today. I guarantee you, he's got Crawford ready.
I wouldn't be surprised. I saw the phenomenon, and I think you were there when we talked about the Andrade versus Benavides. At first, people were like, "Man, Andrade got no chance," blah blah. But then as the fight got closer, he's got better footwork in the kill it plant. He's got better stamina. He's got better this. He's got better that. He's slicker, blah blah blah. And then before you know it, he ends up quitting, and Kelly Plant did better against Benavides than Andrade did. So, I mean, you're right, man. It's as the fight gets close, people start making crazy picks. I'm never confident in my picks. Rarely am I confident in my picks. To me, this is a 60-40 fight in Canelo's favor. But I can see, again, Crawford doesn't even have to really beat him. Because the expectation already was that, he's the smaller guy, he's the older guy, he's searching for greatness. If the fight goes the distance, he's got a good chance of getting it on the scorecards. Remember, 2 judges, that's all it takes. 2 judges to give him a close decision, and that's all it takes for him to get the win. So it is a 60-40 fight. And Canelo and Crawford, again, the size disparity isn't that much, if at all. It's not really there as much as people make it out to be. And it's an interesting fight for sure, man. I'm looking forward to it. Absolutely. And we'll talk more about that as it gets closer, obviously. Man, like I said, 2 weeks away. 2 weeks away. Fellas, thank you for joining us. Really want to give a shout out to Sobers, Gonzalo. Thank you for being on, guys. Shout out to everybody in the chat who joined us on this morning edition of the BD Boxing Podcast. Shout out. What's that?
Can I say something?
Yes.
Because as we're talking about in the chat, fuck the tavern, fuck you, Matt Chad, bitch. Go ahead.
Wait. You said people are saying fuck Matt Chad, or you're saying fuck
No,
Matt Chad?
I said they're bringing up the tavern, so I'm saying. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. Fuck the tavern.
Yeah, I saw that.
Retards.
I saw that you and Chad were going at a little bit there, a little strife.
No, BD, it's always these people who just can't take a joke, bro. Like they just can't roll with the punches. They love to talk shit, bro. Everyone loves to talk shit till someone says something back. And how you gonna hold me accountable for what someone else says? You know what I mean?
Well, I saw the clip that Matt Chad was talking about. And he definitely has the right to be offended by what Furioso was saying. Again, like I said in the beginning of this show, I'm not one of those people that, I'm not like Joe Rogan, the woke police, are you offended? This offended? Obviously, people can get offended by, everyone can get offended. We're human beings. But just for to clarify, were you even on the panel when Furioso was going on that tirade?
I left to go do something, and when I came back, he was already like, I don't know how long into his rant. So then I put a disclaimer up, and then Furioso made it clear, hey, all this is my opinion, nobody else's, and then he just kept going. So I mean,
so why wouldn't you? But why wouldn't you tell Chad that? Why wouldn't you tell Chad, hey, listen, man, I wasn't even on the panel?
Because the clip he brought up, BD8, he clicked on that part like a dumbass. He was trying to make everybody. That's what was so funny, because he was like, look, everybody, look what he's allowing on his channel, and then the timestamp that he just clicked on the random part of the video, and it's right there where I put up the disclaimer, and for Yosa saying, yeah, none of this is from the channel host. This is all me, me, and then he just started going in. So it's like, like what the fuck? And when people go on his channel or whatever, and they start shit talking me, which has happened plenty of times, I don't care. I don't like, how could you allow this to happen or whatever? I don't give a shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah.
Man, listen, I'm a freedom of speech guy. I let, to a certain extent, obviously, in the chat. I mean, how many people have gone at me, calling me a beaner, a spick? People call me a trampire. For those of you that don't know, a trampire is a transvestite that only, a trampire is a transvestite that only comes out at night. So, and everybody everybody in this community of ours gets it. Sobers gets it. He's on his own Discord. There's always people make it every day. Somebody's, I don't know who it is, or how many. They get a factory of photoshops of Sobers. Oh shit, are we still in the air?
It says they're reconnecting.
All right, yeah,
back now.
Yeah, so long story short, everybody gets it. Now look, what Furioso was saying about Machet's son, I don't want to bring up what he said, blah blah blah. But it is.
No, it's tit for tat. It's tit for tat, BDA. If you know what I'm saying, they're talking about the same subject. You know, you don't want to talk. You don't want people to bring up your kids. Don't talk about their kids. It's just
I
that simple,
agree.
bro.
I agree. I agree that it's the internet and anything goes. I'm not surprised by what people say, but I mean, what happened between? I would be curious to know what happened between Machet and Furioso. That Furioso had to bring that up. Like, what made him so angry to bring that subject up? You know, I mean, because I mean,
Like I told you, it's tit for tat.
all right. Well, listen, I don't want to get in the middle of this. I've been accused of being a drama queen before, and I am. I love the drama. I've admitted it a whole bunch of times, but sometimes it does go a little bit overboard, and that's when I go, all right, I don't want to get involved in this. So that's what's going on right there. But yeah, man.
Right, baby.
Who, me?
No.
All right,
You
you
know,
just
man.
no, you're just poking at the guy now.
He fucking knows. The fucking
you ju-
crybaby, bro.
You're just poking at the guy now. But what was I gonna say, man? Yeah, okay. So the fight's getting closer. I'm really looking forward to it. Somebody in the chat said, "BDA, you're not confident in your pick." Now, who said that? Fuck, I can't find the comment. Real quick. Starboy said, "BDA is not confident in his pick. He seems to be confident Canelo's winning." I think that dude, I've seen him comment before. I think he's confusing me with Bucho. That's the thing. People don't seem to understand that there's Bucho who does videos on the channel. He's the co-creator of this channel, and then there's me. And I'm gonna tell Bucho he should be pointing that out because in the last video he didn't say, "Hi, this is King Bucho." Usually he does that, but some people don't get it. Some people think that BDA is only one guy. No, it's two. It's there's BDA and then there's King Bucho. Those are the two co-creators of this channel. So I think people get confused with that. No, listen. Rarely am I confident in a pick. I always give two sides of a coin. For example, Ryan Garcia versus Tank Davis. People really came at me because I picked Ryan Garcia for that one. But you got to look at the nuance of what I said. What I said was I don't think highly of Tank Davis, and I didn't think all that highly of Ryan Garcia either. I think they were at the same level. So what I thought was going to happen was that Ryan Garcia was going to push Davis back. Davis was going to run around the ring like he usually does, and Ryan Garcia, with his hand speed and control of distance, was going to be able to eke out a decision. But I even said, I can see the opposite happening. I can see Davis lulling him to sleep and catching him with something. And boom, that's what happened. So I give both sides of an issue. And even when I get the pick wrong, the second side that I give you may manifest. And it's the same thing here. I think Canelo skills are being unappreciated. I do think he can outbox Crawford. But I can also see a fight where Canelo outboxes Crawford, but not by that much, to the point where not much is going on in the fight, and two judges go, I don't see much going on. I prefer Crawford's punches. Maybe he's got the flashier hands on that night. I don't know. And boom, they give him the decision. I can see that happening.
I don't.
You know, okay, you're gonna think this is crazier then, because I'm gonna try to sneak in a video on this or eke in a video before the fight week, and or if I can't, I'm gonna do it live. I think Crawford's gonna try to throw a monkey wrench in the works. I think he's gonna try to. I think he's gonna try to push Canelo back, Sobers. I know that's crazy. I'm not saying it's gonna work, but I'm saying he's gonna try.
I hope so. I hope everything that all his fans are hyping him up and saying that his ability. I hope he goes for all of that shit. You know what I mean? I hope he gets on the front foot. I hope he's mean. I hope he shows his ego. And when he gets tagged, he wants to his get back. I hope he swings with Canelo. You know what I mean? I hope he tries all that shit. I really hope so. I really want to see all that. Please, that would make an amazing fight.
You're hoping he shows that grit that everyone's talking about, because whenever people say that, hey, I think he's gonna
grit. Yeah, I hope he brings that dog.
Because when people say, oh, once he takes the power, he's gonna start going on the defensive, and they say, no, he's not like that. He ain't going to go out like that. You're saying you're hoping that's true. You're saying you hope he. All right, there you go. Gonzalo, I don't know if you're still listening, but what do you think, real quick? Let me throw that idea out there for you. Gonzalo, are you there? Gonzalo. No, he's not listening. All right, listen.
Yeah,
oh shit. You kept us in suspense. You kept us in
I'm
suspense,
here.
man. All right. I was gonna ask you, would it be crazy, seeing as how they're both the same height? Crawford is a big dude.
How's it going?
Gonzalo, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
I can hear you.
Let me give you the rundown. seeing everyone's saying that Crawford's gonna move.
Okay,
He's gonna move.
In regards to what,
move.
the dimension?
Oh shit! I think we got a big ass delay, man.
Yeah, I got a delay because I'm using I'm not using the regular Wi-Fi. But anyways, BDA. Yeah, I think I mentioned it before. He's gonna punch and move. He's gonna throw one punch at a time, kind of like an. You know how you mentioned in your video that Canelo. That's what Crawford's gonna do too. He's gonna throw single shots and move, single shots and pivot.
Okay,
Change the angle, punch with Canelo.
So
he's gonna look to counter the counter puncher.
All right, so Gonzalo doesn't think that Crawford's gonna try to back Canelo up. He's gonna go with the conventional wisdom Crawford is, and that is to move, punch, move, punch. Gonzalo, yeah, there's a big delay here between you and I, so we're gonna try to reconnect at another point and try to figure this fight out. In the meantime,
yeah.
The reason why I bring that up is because everyone's always talking about Crawford's going to move. Crawford's going to move. The Sheik said no more Tom and Jerry fights. So I think maybe Crawford's thinking, look, I'm as tall as the guy. I weigh 170 pounds walking around outside the ring. I'm putting on muscle on top of that. Maybe they're thinking they can go punch for punch with Canelo and try to back him up. The way he backed up Kavaliauskas back in 2019, he's thinking he's going to maybe try to do the same thing to Canelo. Do the unexpected. It's going to be so unexpected that even Canelo's going to be taken aback and Canelo's going to tire. I think Crawford's going to try to dig to the body. I think that's what he's going to try to do. I'm getting the feeling, rather. But anyway, listen, we'll see. We shall see. We'll see.
Yeah. The switch hitting, I don't know if the switch hitting, he's going to get countered. It's Bucho said it before, and it's true. Even though you're like a good switch hitter, like ambidextrous, and like you can go from lefty to righty, you're always gonna have your stronger side. It's as good as you are going to lefty. If you're a righty, your lefty's not gonna be as good as your right hand stance. It's just a fact. So yeah, if you're going in there against Canelo, who's also a consummate professional. Yeah, fuck around, you get touched up because you just throw a hand and you leave it out there like lazily and you get countered. But this is going to be a fight of two counter punchers. Each one is going to look to counter each other. So it's going to be a battle of the counter punchers. And make no mistake, Canelo's going to respect Crawford's power too. He'd be foolish if he's not.
Exactly.
Because he's Crawford is what do you call it? Somebody said it. Somebody said a boxer said that Canelo's correction that Crawford's power is better than Virgil Ortiz because he's a sharp puncher. Mm-hmm. That's what it is. The punch that you don't see coming with the right timing clips you with the good shot. It can hurt you.
You remember what Virgil Ortiz said about sparring Canelo?
Yeah, he caught him with the good hand. And Canelo said, like eso. He said eso. It was a good punch.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, though.
But Madrimov said that if you compare the two powers between Crawford and Virgil Ortiz, he said Crawford is the sharper puncher, and he thinks he's a harder puncher.
Yeah, because the punch. Madrimov said that the punch that you don't see coming is the one that will hurt you. And yeah, Crawford, I think, like you said, Canelo would have to be an idiot to just go in there hands down, and he's going to have to respect Crawford's power. But it is interesting that it's not just about power because, okay, let's say Ortiz doesn't hit as hard as Crawford. To what degree? Madrimov may mean that, okay, he just hits, I'll give him the edge. Just he hits a little harder. And at the end of the day, it's irrelevant because Virgil Ortiz might not hit as hard as Crawford, or maybe Madrimov didn't feel the punch as much, but he sure as hell was getting backed up more by Ortiz than he was by Crawford. So the punching power is one aspect of the fight, and it's an important aspect, mind you, but it's not the most important thing. So for people out there to think, and I'm not saying you guys, but obviously, there's people out there who are going to believe this. Same people that look at a photograph of Canelo sparring boots and they go, oh, yeah, now I'm switching my pick to Canelo. It's the same thing. There's people that hear that. There's people that hear, oh, Madrimov says Crawford hit harder than Ortiz. I'm going to pick Canelo. I'm going to pick Crawford to beat Canelo because of that. That makes no sense because, like I said, there's context to it. Ortiz managed to back Madrimov up more than Crawford did. And even though he doesn't hit as hard, apparently, as Crawford. The other thing is this. Fuck, I forgot what I was gonna say. What were you guys talking about? Madrimov, the power, getting backed up.
I was saying that Virgil Ortiz said he sparred Canelo, and he said he hit him as hard as he could. Couldn't even, didn't even flinch.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's Canelo's got a tungsten chin, that's for sure. Now he doesn't want to find out how hard Crawford hits. No, I don't think it's smart to do that. But it will be interesting to see if Crawford can keep him honest. But again, like I was saying earlier, I do think he's going to try to throw Canelo off kilter and try to back him up, or at least try to work that body. Because a lot of people don't go to Canelo's body because they think that they have to get in his wheelhouse of his counterpunches. Golovkin could have gone to the body, but he didn't do that because he's never really been that much of a body punch investor, and also if you want to, like I said earlier, to get close to Canelo, you're getting close to his wheelhouse mid-range, and you get countered. And Golovkin didn't want to really do that, and most other guys don't want to do it. Crawford's going to have to do it in between Canelo's big wallops. That's when he's going to try to go to the body. When Canelo loads up on those big shots of his, those sledgehammers, that's when Crawford's going to try to dig in with uppercuts to the body. But the same applies to Crawford, though. A lot of people don't go to the body against him because they don't want to walk into his wheelhouse, his counterpunches. That's his bread and butter. But if Canelo doesn't respect the power that much to where he's actually walking Crawford down and getting on the inside, who knows if Crawford can really take those body shots? We shall see. Oh, the other thing I want to bring up to you guys is this. I don't know if you guys heard this, but real quick, last thing. Sean Porter was on Ring TV, on Ring Magazine, and they did a segment of Best I Ever Faced, where they talked to retired fighters, and they asked them, out of all your opponents, which one had the best jab, which one had the best footwork, the better, chin, blah, blah, blah. He said, get this, he said, neither of the guys I fought had good defense because I was able to touch all of them. He said something like that, which was a weird answer. I'd never heard a guy answer like that in one of these segments. So what he's telling us is it could either mean two things. It could either mean two things. Either his offense, Porter's offense was so good that he was able to invalidate all of these guys' defense, or what he's telling you is that Crawford's defense wasn't all that. And that's important to point out, because if Sean Porter was able to get to Crawford and he doesn't believe Crawford's defense was all that, then what are all these people basing it off of on that Crawford's going to school Canelo and that his defense is on Bivol and Mayweather's level?
Yeah, like the weird thing about Sean Porter, I think the answer comes from his unorthodox style, right? Like he's just so sloppy in there. Kind of like how Navarrete, you don't expect the guy coming at you like with clean, crisp boxing technique approach. So he's kind of like hitting you from everywhere, and he's right up in your chest, throwing punches like a madman. So it's fighters, it's kind of difficult to defend yourself when you got a guy coming at you like that, like too crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the reason he gets knocked out. That's the reason he got knocked out eventually. Okay, because once you get the read on that dude, okay, he's up on my chest, he's fucking throwing a bunch of punches. He's hitting me, but he's also there to get if you can weather the storm.
Yeah, that's why, Gonzalo, that's why when people say, oh, Crawford makes the adjustments. He makes the adjustments. Against Sean Porter, I didn't really see him making adjustments. Like you said, he just bid his time. He said, okay, Porter's the guy that has to work extra hard to come get me with my long-ass arms. And Porter has to expend a lot of energy to get inside by jumping in. I think eventually Crawford just caught him. And again, shout out to Crawford for getting that done. Because Spence couldn't do it, Kell Brook couldn't do it, Danny Garcia couldn't do it. But at the same time, maybe I missed it. Again, I would be curious to see if somebody could point us to what exact adjustment Crawford made in there that allowed him to get the knockout. Or the stoppage rather. So you're right, man. And by the way, people can say, well, Porter's more explosive and feints a lot. Canelo doesn't jump in like Porter. Yeah, that's true, but he does feint, and he does have more power than Sean Porter. Because let's face the facts, Sean Porter could get to guys and whack him, but he didn't really hit hard. Other than the Poli Malignaggi fight, he didn't really. And maybe Devin Alexander. He did stun Devin Alexander, but he couldn't. Other than that, he wasn't really a big puncher for a guy as aggressive as he was.
That Malignaggi knockout was so crazy.
I started thinking of something when you were mentioning, because I got a little Porter is like he's aggressive style, so like he puts pressure, kind of like a Boxy Castaño, but like everything that I said, he's sloppy and all that. Canelo can also put the pressure if he wants. Another way that I see Crawford moving is when Canelo puts the pressure, he's gonna take a step back and counter, step back, one step, and he's gonna try to use the long arms, which they're slightly longer, but according to his height, he's gonna try to stay right at the edge of Canelo's, and then like Navarrete throwing the long arms where then he got the monkey arms. Like, how did he clip me when I thought I was just enough of a distance away from you? He can still punch you back, right, Crawford? And it plays into the whole countering, the counter puncher, who gets who first. Crawford, I think, is gonna retreat and take a step back and always look to Canelo when he's stepping in.
Gonzalo's gonna get us canceled, by the way, with the monkey arms. You should have just said, you should have been specific, because if you would have said orangutan arms, it makes sense, because orangutans have long ass arms and they're apes. They're not monkeys. So that would have been more apropos the way I do it. But you had to go with monkey, and now we're done, Gonzalo. Thank you. Thank you. We're done. We're finished. We're finished. This channel is done. We're gonna get canceled now. We're gonna get Me Too. We're gonna get Me Too. That's a sexual thing.
Go ahead.
No, he's got freakishly long arms, and like you actually, what I was thinking too, B. Crawford's got power, dude, and I've been watching replaying some of his fights. Where does the power come from? Because you think, oh, this guy doesn't, but he does. He had like 10 knockouts at welterweight. He's got that some of the little bit of like a how do you call it, the whiplash?
Yeah.
The links on the chain, the long. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember a long time ago, you and I talked about that. It must have been 4 years ago. We were talking about Spence Crawford, and we were talking about the difference in punching power. Spence is more of like a what's the word I'm looking for? Not stunning shots, but thumping shots. Whereas Crawford, he's got that whiplash, like you said. He's got that whipping effect. Yeah, he's got the wiry. He's got the wiry power. Yeah, but hold on. Final thing. You don't think Crawford? Final thing. You don't think Crawford is gonna try to push Canelo back at some point?
No. You can't do that to Canelo, because Canelo,
But hold on, Gonzalo.
Canelo's kind of like Julio Cesar Chavez, and only in this regard.
Not that he's gonna be able to do it, but that he's gonna try to do it.
No, because Canelo's peering through the middle of his gloves. He's got an uncanny ability. Keep his eyes open amid the infighting, kind of Julio Cesar Chavez. So he's looking for that. He's looking for you to throw that hand, and he's keeping his eyes open. He's on the hunt. So the moment that Crawford thinks he can boss Canelo and he goes forward, Canelo might let him do that, so he can allow him to come in and feel comfortable and play possum. Okay, yes, you're backing me up. Then when you're backing me up and you, because I'm falling for it, I'm just setting you up to counter you. Once you come in and you think you're backing me up, and I get you with that shot that knocked down Munguia, for example, or like Berlanga, a clean shot. Canelo wants to land the clean shot, the cleanest shot possible. And I said it before, he's gonna have his moment where he's gonna land on Crawford clean, because that's what Canelo's looking to. He's looking to maybe take one of the movements out instead of like swerving the punch and countering you. He'll probably block the punch and remain in position, steadfast, to counter you quickly. So if Crawford makes a mistake, thinks he's gonna boss Canelo, you never know if he's got a hard chin, like a thick neck. He can take a punch, but not only that, he's looking to place his shot.
Well, there you go, man. There you go. You're breaking up a little bit there, Gonzalo.
Canelo's not in real danger, man.
You're back on the you're back on the bamboo Wi-Fi, the bamboo stick Wi-Fi. But listen, we'll try to confer again.
I'm back on the fucking bamboo stick.
We'll try to confer again to wrap up this fight and really get down to the nitty gritty. But I want to give a shout out to, like I said, Sobers Gonzalo. Thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. Shout out to everybody in the chat. I'm talking about Mr. Pelavacas, Horseface Guy, Iron Fist, Mark, Troll, Double L, John Blaze. Who else? We got Mark T. Phil from LG. Yeah, Sobers was in there as well. Adam TR, Gene Ryu. Shout out to him. Yeah, shout out to everybody who joined us. I gotta go. I need a vacation, man. I think after all this Crawford Canelo talk, I'm gonna need a vacation. You know what? I'm gonna take a vacation to
The Gold Coast Convention
I
Centre.
think that name's cool. Miso Dionysian. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool name right there. A little bit secret society-ish for my taste, but whatever.
Ringside.
All right, listen, we gotta go.
I don't want to talk about that, buddy.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about the secret societies right now. But listen, shout out to everybody in the chat. Like I said, thank you for joining us. Like I said, was that
No, I was just laughing at your soundbites.
laughing at me? No, wait a minute. All right, shout out to everybody in the chat. Shout out to everybody who joined us on the panel. Shout out to JumpTube. Like I said, Miso Dionysian, Johnny Blaze. Listen, guys, we gotta go. Shout out to you. Enjoy the rest of your morning. Catch you in the next one. Take it easy. Thanks for watching. Woo!